Hello, friends, and welcome to the exciting world of talking with famous people, where you, me, and Rachel have a party that never ends. I don't see any Rachel, he said. Oh, well, there she is.
Hi.
She's just a very brightly lit head.
Yep.
That's all you need. That's all you need of Rachel. I wonder what procedure that lady's getting done.
Oh my gosh, me too.
I probably need to get that procedure done to me. I don't know what it is, but it looks important.
It does.
These people, you can't take your horse onto the beach.
No.
What are they thinking? Look at these people standing in a big ice cave like that. Where do you get off? Tackling each other and hitting each other in the face like that. Where do you get off?
Yeah, where do you get off?
You know. What's this?
Hey, you can't go over the counter like that.
No, you can't do that. That's wrong and backwards. You're supposed to be on top of the deer, not the other way around.
Yeah.
Again, wrong and backwards. Okay, that just doesn't look safe.
No, it doesn't at all.
Doesn't look safe. So anyway, regardless of these pictures you're seeing in the background here, it's such a vivid picture, huh?
Yeah, it is.
I love these old black and white pictures where it seems like the quality of the image capture was better than it ever has been since. You know, like those kind of like crystal clear black and white old photos like that. It's just great. And that's a compelling image. The war picture, you know.
Yeah.
Here, I'll pull you by your hair. I'll pull you along. This is how you save people. Oh, look, the dog is smoking a pipe. How fun.
That is.
Look how many people are on that boat.
That's a lot.
But most importantly, they made the men and the women go in through different entrances. But then as soon as they get inside, it's just all one big area. It doesn't make any sense. And these guys with their great hair. Like, what happened to the age of people with hair like that?
Yeah, how come that hasn't come back in style?
Here's this crazy crocodile shit that they used to have in Southern California where they had this crocodile farm where people would go do stuff like that. And this, the homesteading era or something, you know? The community's gotten together and they're plowing a field. That, again, dangerous things old-timey people did. You don't need to do that. What's the advantage of doing that? I've got it on random, so we'll see, you know.
49 Queen Street.
Okay,
Oh,
again,
man.
that looks unsafe to me.
Yeah.
I don't mean to be a party pooper, but it seems unsafe.
This just looks like,
Hey, I'm squirting the baby.
And isn't the baby clever having an umbrella?
Oh, look, I got two ladies on my head.
That old thing.
And okay, this is a 6-year-old Russian kid who fought in World War II.
Oh my goodness.
It was part of these images I was collecting for a video I was going to make called Crazy Things Old-Timey People Did with their children. Because there's like ones where like, let's put the baby on top of the lion. You know, I was like, okay, you're going to get your baby eaten.
Now, was that an old-timey way of thinking? I guess.
Well, I mean, it wasn't even that old-timey. Like, when I was a kid, this lady here, she went over Niagara Falls, I guess, in that barrel.
Wow.
Pretty impressive.
That is.
This guy, you know what that thing is? You know what that's for?
No.
That helmet he's got on?
No, I don't.
It's his invention to make himself concentrate. To make him pay attention to just what he's supposed to be paying attention to.
Interesting.
It's like some INTP must have come up with that.
Yeah, that would be an INTP.
It's like a brilliantly stupid way to deal with SE Polar or something. It's just so dumb, but also you have to be really smart to do that, to make that thing. And then this picture, oh my god,
Oh
the
my god.
Hindenburg,
Oh
you
my
know?
god, how realistic.
It's a real, that's an actual photo. There's nothing realistic about it, it's real.
I know.
That's
yeah,
a real
you're
photo
right.
from the Hindenburg. That's the
That
crazy
is-
shit is they got that shit on camera.
Oh my gosh.
You know, because it's not like the only reason they got all of that stuff on camera is because where the Hindenburg was landing, it was like BF nowhere, and their local news people had nothing else to report upon, so they went out to go report on the blimp landing. You know, otherwise they wouldn't have gotten it. It's a little goat is eating bananas in a trench in warfare. How tragically strange.
Yes.
Yeah, we've seen you, lady. We know all about you and your barrel. Barrel lover. That's why they call you barrel lover. These are the old-timey costumes. They had some weird costuming techniques in the olden days.
Yeah.
Like, what's that lady doing with all those guys right there?
Yeah, why are
I'm
they
a
all
little worried
Santas?
for her. Something
Yeah.
that doesn't end well. That scene. This picture is great because the kid just looks. He's first of all, like back in the old days, they used to dress up their kids so much in fancy clothes. Well, you've got to listen to me. And then the other guy, I'm listening. I'm listening. Okay, that's not a good. There's a seat. You gotta find someplace better to sit than that. And this is how smoggy it used to be in London town, in old London town in England. This is, you know who took this picture? Stanley Kubrick.
Wow.
When he was like 17 years old, he went around taking black and white photos, and some of them were also compelling. Now, what happened to the days when we encouraged our young people to smoke? Those days have long passed, you know. So obviously there's not a lot of interest in Eric's live stream tonight. That's fine.
I wonder if you used up all your notifications.
I always do. This is another
Oh, we haven't
Stanley
seen this
Kubrick
one.
picture.
Oh. Hey, Legends Ball.
Our legends fall ahoy. How you doing? Are you on a ship right now? Is that why you said ahoy? Oh, thanks, Lemons understand me. So you guys are just chilling, listening. Now, this is weird because it's like in 1950
Wow,
or
he
something.
killed a rat.
But it's like that guy right there is straight from the 19th century, but he's still persisting in the 1950. It has his job as city rat killer in the sewers, you know.
Oh.
Again, London's underground circa World War II, a little thereafter, very period setting, you know. It's a good setting picture. Now, why do they all have those things on their heads? That's what we all want to know.
And shoes on. Or no, one has their shoes off.
Hey, this guy. This is another kind of old-timey thing. Olden days thing. You're going to go fight in a war, go into a battle. Everybody gets guns, but you, this guy, you get bagpipes instead. Well, how are bagpipes going to help me? Well, we'll be inspired by your playing the bagpipes while we go run into the gunfire.
It's true, that happens. That did happen.
But I mean, I just think, I really got gypped here. Everybody else got a gun and I got bagpipes, you know?
Yeah. I feel like I got gypped by a Madonna song that I used to like. I used to like the song, it's like a disco song, but the reason I like it is because it samples a part of an ABBA song. I didn't know it was ABBA. And she like literally like didn't change the part of the song at all. She's like not revolutionary anymore.
And that picture has to be a still from like 1938's best full-length feature pornography movie. It has to be. The one with the lady with all the
it's
Santas.
so
It's so
weird.
strange. I just, it's like, what made that lady? That lady right there wanted to go over those walls? You know, he's got on full blast like Quaker outfit. You wouldn't expect her to want to go over the Niagara Falls. You can't do that anymore. You know, they don't let you get in a barrel and go over Niagara Falls.
It's a rule now. Times change.
Back in the olden days, they had ferries that took cars across before they built bridges everywhere. And
still, this is unsafe.
yeah, but he does look cool. Now, I think another Stanley Kubrick picture.
Oh wow, his are very crisp.
Yeah. What's going on here?
Yeah.
That's what you wonder when you see this picture. Why are they all? What's with those gloves?
Is it a family?
Who knows? But yeah, it's like those guys there with the hair like that. You can just the conversation among them. Every one of them all sounds like ha 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 ha. You know,
that's what they
and
look
they just stand around and they go ruff, 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 with each other. These are some ladies with some long ass hair. That's a bathtub drain I don't want to clean. You know.
Yeah.
Hey, let's do this to our baby.
Yeah.
Why? It's the olden days. Hey, look at me.
I can hit my head on this wall.
Now that I got this piece of leather wrapped around my skull, it's impervious to damage. Oh, you get me every time with your cute pipe smoking ways.
Yeah.
I wonder how many of the enemy that guy got with his bagpipes. It must be like some sort of swimming competition at the flour bag manufacturing company or something.
And your body is the thing that's being judged. We don't care about your face.
Oh, maybe that's it. I was thinking they were trying to advertise flour sacks.
I don't know what the heck they're trying to...
This Pasadena Freeway,
Wow.
This is a place where Rachel and I drive there frequently enough. And this is old Los Angeles when it used to
my
have the
goodness.
red cars,
Should have kept them.
I think. These are some Civil War black people. I don't know why this picture's in here. I just thought it was funny that they dressed their kids the same, I guess. Like, even back in the day, people would do that with their
kids.
twins or their kids the same age.
Yeah.
It was part of this idea I was making for weird things people did with their kids back in the old days, right? Like, why did they have this kid put those things on his head and this bird
Did
there?
he want that? Or did his parents?
Who posed him like that? I don't know.
Yeah.
But this is very much like the Duff and Duff Ice thing in that Simpsons episode where they come in two tubes. One's called Duff, one's called Duff Ice, and they combine it into one tube, and they go into two tubes again, like Duff Ice. It's just the same shit, but they just call it two different things.
That's funny.
Now, this is somewhere in the east, the far exotic east. This somewhere in Europe, probably. But you know what? Who's really the star of this picture? This lady
She
back
is.
here. That lady with the big smile. She's the star of that picture.
That looks like a Kubrick picture, too.
Yeah, I think that's Cooper. I think it's Mickey Rooney, maybe. Or
Oh.
I'm not sure. Kind of looks like him anyway. So yeah, Albert Einstein is here, but the lady behind him, she's got the attention of the camera. Really.
I think she thought that she was the star of the show, and she ended up being the star of the show because she smiled during the picture.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, is there an X over that little kid's face?
Yeah, there is actually.
Wow, that's so weird.
Yeah.
Creepy.
It's like, what I think is weird about this picture is you take your kids to the ocean and you've got these weird dress-up ocean clothes with like an ocean hat and like these weird pajama things that they're wearing, and yeah, it's the old. This is London Bridge.
Wow.
Like turn of the century, turn of the 20th century, like 1898, 1890, something like that. And again, this alligator farm was in Los Angeles, and they used to. They had saddles on them. They put little babies on the saddles and ride them around. Seems very unsafe.
Yeah, it does.
Probably why it's not in existence anymore. So, right. It's like they enter into these two things, but then as soon as they get inside, they just all mush together. So why even separate them to get them to go inside in the first place? That's the point of that Duff thing.
Oh no.
It just so happens I picked this slideshow here. It's not like I'm intending to talk about nothing but these pictures, but if we are going to talk about pictures, then I suppose I should put up a second slideshow since we've seen all of these ones, I think, at this point. And here's people watching John F. Kennedy. We haven't really seen that picture.
Oh, that's...
I thought that was interesting the way the whole family's gathered around one TV because that just wouldn't happen.
Don't do that anymore.
It just doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean...
People's Drugstore. We always sell the best. Number 7. People's Drugstore number 7. I like the enthusiastic endorsement of drugs on that picture, I think. That last picture is what Rachel and I call foreplay.
Yeah.
And what is this outfit?
Wow, what is this outfit?
What is this outfit she's wearing? What is that thing in the middle? Is that supposed to be like a canteen or? Yeah, finally some place to sit. We've got plenty of chairs here. Plenty of chairs. Everybody come on and sit down. We're looking at some old pictures. The next frame is just brain matter all over the camera lens. Anyway, so let me switch it up here. Get us some new pictures to look at. The way I'm going to do that is by going over here, like meow.
Every little thing that you say or do, I'm hung up on you. Waiting for your call, baby, night and day. Fed up. That Madonna song is actually like samples an ABBA song that goes like, gimme, 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 gimme.
Huh.
Yeah. I listened to it today, or yesterday, and, so Madonna...
Oh, Madonna. You scoundrel.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we got a special new excitement. Look at those guys. They're happy to be here. They're happy to be joining the party.
I like this picture.
Yeah, these people just showed up to get on their yacht. We got mostly yacht owners here participating and talking with famous people. Here's the olden days when they used to have to crank the old car to get started.
Oh my gosh, that's right.
Yep. Wasn't always like it is nowadays. Here's that picture of that one lady fell over, but the other ladies didn't fall over.
No.
So good for them. Hey, we love going out on the town to get fruit in our basket together. We just sometimes like to dress up.
Witches are we?
One of us is a real witch. You know, she seems like that anyway to me.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that is frightening stuff.
I love...
All Hallows Eve. Do you love All Hallows Eve?
I do love All Hallows Eve, because I used to really love dressing up.
And this is from the Gayman's Duck Choir.
That little girl's flapper dress is so nicely tailored. Whoever did the tailoring on that. I love this picture too.
1982, yeah. That is so 1982. It's the most 1982 picture ever. This one, more like 1902. You're showing too much thigh. It's fine that I'm right down here These two ladies, they're not worried about getting accused of showing too much thigh. They've got their guys dressed up like a cat and a mouse, apparently. She is so proud. She's a woman, and she's able to drive a bus. And that's real. That's real go get 'em spirit from our American ladies there. This guy's cool, right? He says, I'm cool, circa 1950, whatever. And this lady says, here's what I think of your courtroom, judge. Here's what I think. This looks like my childhood. This looks exactly like I remember my childhood. When I was a kid and the teenagers all looked like that, you know. This picture, too many things going on in this picture. There's a clown, there's tigers, there's a lady, there's a bottle feeding. What's that picture about? These people think they're going to bring this car back to life with some sort of ritual, I think. But I think that car is done for. It's a junker at this point. Look how cool that guy is.
Being impressive in LA. Where is that LA?
I don't know where that is, but I couldn't do that.
No, I can't do that either.
That guy gets all the pussy he wants right there.
You know it.
He's just neck deep in it.
Oh, that's so strange.
Fortunately,
It's like
they're COVID safe.
more clowns.
Yeah, well, this part of the children, maybe going to be included in the children's episode. Like, I don't think that child appreciated that visit from the hospital, really. Why do you guys all have hats on? That's the real question. All these guys, they want to hump her.
Yeah.
They're all like, oh my god, I want to hit that shit.
Yeah.
Here's this picture again. Maybe I shouldn't have it on random, but you know, c'est la vie, as they say in France. Oh, right, and here's the...
She's worried about...
Nazi boob inspection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eek.
And this one again. Well, that's what happens when you choose random, of course. You don't have a lot of say over which pictures show up. If anybody would like to discuss any topic of interest, we don't have to discuss these interesting pictures. This is the skeleton beauty contest. She has the most beautiful skeleton. This one in the middle. Okay. There's too many people in that car.
Yeah, that's before vans.
They've got no doors, no windows, no roof, and 6 people in the car. This lady has mixed luchadore and synchronized swimming into a new sport. I love that costume. I would totally wear that costume.
That's so great. I love that you're doing that costume.
Oops.
Ooh, that's an accident.
That's what you call a fender bender.
Wrap around the tree.
I'm surprised that tree is so strong.
Yeah.
All right, children, go trick-or-treating. What are we, though? I was drunk when I made those masks. I don't know. Oh, my gosh. We are standing here, aren't we? Yes, we are.
Oh my gosh, she looks so happy. I'd be so scared. I was scared of Santa Claus.
I love this clown. I can fit my head in his mouth. The funniest clowns are those that you can fit your entire head in their mouth. That's how you know a clown's hilarious. Oh, come on, people. Listen. We can't just continually let extroverted sensing guide our discussion paths here, looking at pictures and commenting on them. We need word-based conversation.
Yes, we're here for audience participation.
We're here for words. That guy's cool. That's Sean Connery.
No way!
Yeah, Sean Connery.
Wow.
And he's got a very cool automobile next to him.
He's looking very cool. He's a cool guy.
Yeah, he's the original, as far as I'm concerned, James Bond.
Yeah, me
even though
too.
he's not really the original one. There was one before him.
Really?
Yeah.
Who was he?
I forget. Bob Stevens, maybe. Lemons Understand Me has a question. I'm glad you have a question.
Sure, just
Will you share it with us?
Yeah, what is your question? Indian. No, don't take her picture. She's so pretty.
Oh, yeah, it's just like, their picture goes next to that baseball girl. It's like 1964, 1974, you know. I thought they were representative of like hot chick of the era for those respective years.
Yes.
Lemons Understand Me has a question, but refuses to share it with us.
Yeah, what's up?
Which is, I get, that's fair. You're possessive about your questions. I was watching a video you had posted years ago. It was some INFJ who recorded himself talking into the camera in a dark room who replied to comments on your account as if it was your own. Was this channel not always yours? No, it always was mine. I just, early on, I had a very sort of open source attitude about it. I had a lot of channel managers and stuff and just envisioned it as kind of a community project, but it just didn't. It just, the bottom line is, it took me a while to realize almost nobody is just relentlessly creative like me. Nobody is. So it can't be a community based thing because it's not like when I first started the channel, I had this misperception because I didn't really understand cognitive functions or anything that basically everyone was like me. That there was a shit ton of people out there who had shit tons and shit tons of things to say and ideas and everything. And it was just that for some reason, none of them, they just didn't do anything on their own channel. So I was like, well, we'll just, all the people who have things to say can just come be part of this and they can put the videos. The fact is, the vast majority of people have exponentially less desire to publish something featuring themselves than I do. Just shit tons less desire. And I just didn't get that. But so, there were a couple of, and, I had a co-host, Zachary, for a bit. He was an INTP, though, not an INFJ. I think that's who you're probably talking about, is Zachary. I tried to incorporate him kind of as a formal co-host, but it just didn't work out because it's like for every one video he'd make, I'd make freaking 50, That's like 1978, right? 77. So, but in the South. Now, see, this is a good idea. Polo, like horse polo, but with a car.
Oh.
And it's safe, too, I'm sure. Very safe.
Yeah, very safe. You won't fall over because you have to, bend.
Yeah. As long as they have a nice, smooth feel, it should be just fine.
Oh my gosh. I would be a very scared baby in this picture.
Why are these monsters here?
Yeah. This is just let's be creative.
Yeah.
See how this turns out.
It was pre-Great Depression. It's like 1927, and they're just like, everything's fun.
Yeah.
This is a great picture.
Yeah, it is.
There was this sense back in the day, obviously in automobile history, that by some people that it wasn't the sort of thing that people were going to all have their own car, so they'd make it like that, where you get a place for 6 people to sit on top and 6 people sit on the bottom or whatever, like a carriage, Why does it keep showing me this picture? It really likes this one.
Yeah, it does. It's one of
Okay.
Oh.
I want one of those. She obviously has not begun spraying it on herself yet. We need an after picture there. I have a question for you, Lemons Understand Me. Why are lemons explicitly more understanding than other citrus fruits, such as oranges, tangerines, or grapefruits? What is it you think that makes lemons in particular get you so well? That's my question for you. So anyway, those two were having fun.
Oh, that's a fun picture.
Yeah, it's fun. Circa 71 or so, 68 maybe, you know. Window capture. I found the photo, found it funny, and came up with channel name to suit it.
Oh, that almost looks staged. Like from another.
Yeah, but it's that same thing I was saying before with those old timey pictures. The way they got that super crispity, like black and white pop to them that they seem to have lost the ability to get in photography nowadays, you know?
Yeah.
And it also has to do with the glossy printing of the photo, I guess, you know? The way they printed out actual prints on film paper or whatever.
Yep.
And they came out all glossy. This is one that says electricity.
Wow.
Convenient, accessible, cheap. Or convenient, adaptable, cheap. That's what it says. Convenient, adaptable, cheap. Can you imagine the days back when they advertised electricity? Hey, everybody, try electricity.
Yeah.
Convenient, adaptable, and cheap. That's kind of crazy to think about, huh? Advertising electricity. They don't advertise electricity anymore.
No, they don't.
They don't say, like, hey, hand fan users, it's time for you to try electricity, which can power your fan. Just get yourself an electrical fan, some electricity, you're good to go. Talk about the interesting juxtaposition of pictures. You know, one party who's undergoing continual ontological assault, the very next lady undergoing continual ontological affirmation. I mean, I'm specialized in correctly articulating the specifics of cognitive functions and typology. And in fact, I'm not just specialized in it, I am the only person who consistently successfully does so. And cognitive functions are uniquely are an interestingly weird phenomenon because it's one of the only things in which seeking information from more sources will only confuse you. Almost everything else, it's good to see multiple information from multiple sources. With cognitive functions, only here is correct, basically, or people parroting what I'm saying. So, and the reason I am so specifically correct and exclusively correct, well, the reasons are myriad, but and I've talked about them before, but that's the answer. Basically, I arrived onto the cognitive function scene to discover a complete disastrous mess, where people ask questions like, are you specialized in social analysis or MBTI? In other words, nobody had figured it out adequately. But with the help of various INTPs and people around here and my own particular skills, background, etc., we've got it pretty well figured out. And I've got a big, nice stack of empirics to back up the principles that I'm talking about. And that's the crazy thing about some of the people's comments on the DSP shit. When I made this video about how jumpers are bullshit, the extreme pirouetting that people do to try to explain how, well, it's still useful over there. They've got a huge pile of data they've gathered, blah, 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 blah. Doing a lot of work. No, that doesn't mean anything because it's not framed as anything. And so it means whatever they arbitrarily want it to mean, you know? And it's like people don't get how to interact with data in meaningful ways versus non-meaningful ways and how it's possible to distinguish between those two things. DSP is a miasma of a quagmire, of a clusterfuck, of a buttfuckery, of a bass awkwardnesses, of misinformation, of a fountain of misinformation.
Wow, that's a lot of smog.
It was also a lot of prepositional phrases.
Yes.
Well, Argent Wolverine 90, that makes us less likely to immediately get into a screaming argument. How do you determine if a person's ontology is being undermined or affirmed at a given time? Well, it was the two pictures that I was referring to at that moment, right, that were back to back, included, one was a Southern black girl who was one of the pioneers of school integration, being subjected to this very otherifying gaze by everybody else in the room who were all white, and then followed immediately by this girl who's very comfortable with herself, clearly, because she's gorgeous and young and born in the right place to the right people, etc. And someone's going to take a picture of her, she's like, oh, you, yeah. And she's just so free and easy, right? So in that instance, the message of both of those pictures was whatever you want to make it. But when you see them right next to each other like that, it was very striking. Oh, here's this person who's been made into this over the course of her life versus this other person, same demographic, who's been made into over the course of her life. And they both might be totally introverts, who knows? Or they both might be extroverts or whatever. The point being that the individuals, for varieties of reasons, grow up in environments that are supportive in some ways and antagonistic in other ways, or meow. So it's like my environment that I grew up in here was very supportive of me in some ways and very antagonistic to me in other ways. So it's like it's supportive of me, but it's also delegitimizing of me. There's a continual sense when you grow up around in an ESTJ's house with an ISFJ mom, neither of whom had any sort of psychology frames to think about things through, really, that there's definitely something wrong with Eric, because he's such a flake, such a whatever, such a intuitive, Yeah, well, I was Argent Wolverine. Had this plan and set up, I think, set up enough photos for 3 or 4 videos worth of these sort of like thematically organized succession of old photographs that sort of told a story when juxtaposed next to each other. But of course, I did 2 of them, and then I just never did the rest of them. So that's just Eric's way. That's just Eric's way. Counterphobic 6. I'm not sure if I really believe in that counterphobic 6 thing.
I don't know if I believe in counterphobic.
Like, how can you meaningfully distinguish between an 8 and a counterphobic 6?
It adds confusion. Too much complexity.
I mean, I just think there's no reason to make the distinction at all, really. So it's like, I would, if I were going to try Enneagram tri-type you, Argent Wolverine, I'd just ask you 3 questions, like, how do you deal with shame? Are you helpful? Are you high achieving? Or are you a rebel? Like, screw you and your rules. How do you deal with fear? Do you research a bunch to understand it better? Do you rely upon your existing repository of resources, or do you bury your head in the sand? And then the third one, how do you deal with people who come at you with a pow pow? Do you pow pow back, anger back? Do you go, okay, fine, if you're gonna be all mad here, or do you go, okay, you're mad, I'm walking away, I'm withdrawing? And then you can get your tri-type. Whichever of those questions is easiest to answer that's your first number. Whichever is second easiest to answer, that's your second number. Whichever is third easiest to answer, that's your third number. So if the easiest one for you to answer was you respond to anger with anger, then you are an 8, not a 6. If the second one was easiest to answer was you turn to your existing resources, then you're 6 second in your tri-type. And if the third one is 4, then you're 864, which is a type that is frequently called counterphobic 6.
Oh, that's interesting.
But it's just 864 as far as I'm concerned. Mm-hmm. There's nothing wrong with that guy's skirt.
I can see my grandmother Lapalosa doing something like that.
Okay, well, there's your 4 and your 8. You mentioned 6 last, so you're probably... Okay, well... So, whatever one of those 3 combinations are, 8, 4, 6. What that means, Argent Wolverine, is that you and I shouldn't start dating. Okay? I dated 2 variants of 846 in my last 2 relationships before Rachel. The INFP Cooter was 468. Kimberly was a 684. Those are not, and I'm a 784. That does not work well. Too much fuck you and too much fuck you and your rules and too much I'm the rebel and nobody wants to cooperate. Well, that's fine, Argent Wolverine 90, because I have my beloved wife Rachel anyway, so I'm not on the market. But what I'm just saying is, it still nevertheless means that you and I shouldn't start dating. Also because I'm your supervisor type. You don't want to date your supervisor. You'll always feel like you're under scrutiny and failing to meet up to
Oh my gosh, it's so...
their standards.
Yeah, so much like that. And what do you think I am?
I think you are a 974.
The self-doubter.
What a horrible name.
I know, it's so horrible.
I get to be the curve surfer, but she has to be the self-doubter.
Yeah, like, what's up?
It's not fair.
It's not fair. Like...
I think 864 might be the confronter. But if you're 684, it might be something else.
Yeah.
But it's like the confronter, you know. Yeah, the
Thanks.
9s get the shit names in that personality
Yes.
database thing, or personality cafe thing.
Yeah. Thanks, Alec T.
And thank you for commenting on my recent tables video, Alec. Periodically, I try to give the people what they want, quote unquote, so that maybe I get more typing sessions rather than just screwing around and doing what I want all the time. You know, for a second earlier, I thought Jeff Shaw was actually saying something. And then I realized, oh, he's just talking shit as usual.
That's one thing.
That guy. He directs a lot of energy towards paying attention to how I'm not worth paying attention to. Okay, I'll tell you the questions again. First question is, how do you know that you don't have to be ashamed of yourself? Either you're helpful, you're high achieving, or fuck you and your rules. That's question that will tell you 2, 3, or 4. Second question is, how do you deal with scary things like looming deadlines? Oh shit, I got this tax thing coming up, whatever. Do you research it a whole bunch so that you know everything about it so you're not scared about it anymore? Do you rely on the fact that, okay, I've got a big stockpile of resources I can turn to already, you know? Or do you bury your head in the sand and say, I'm sure that they're not going to audit me. They're not going to audit me. They'll audit somebody else, you know? That approaching army, I'm sure they're heading to the town next door. They're not coming to attack us. They must be going to the town next door. That's 7, okay? So that'll tell you 5, 6, or 7. That's the second question. Whether you learn more, get behind your castle walls or bury your head in the sand. And then for the third question, the gut, it's if somebody's angry, do you anger back? If somebody's angry, do you appease? Okay, fine, you're gonna be all pissed off. Or if somebody's angry, do you go, no, I'll talk to you when you're done being angry. Well, the thing about the 3 or the 4 is I used to think I was 783 mover shaker type, because at the time when I thought that, I was objectively more successful than I am now. Like I had a big successful debate team. You know, I felt like I was high achieving, but that was just because I didn't understand the concept of it. It's like I would never have, even though I may have felt like, hey, I'm doing well right now, I'm high achieving right now, I never would have used that to justify why I don't need to be ashamed of myself. I would have always done what I've always done, which is said, me be ashamed of myself, you should be ashamed of yourself and your shamefully stupid rules. You know, the Eric way. So that makes me a 4, not a 3. But I don't think it's first or second.
3 cares about status.
Yeah, 3. My friend Corey's a 3. Rachel and I got to see a 3 in full bloom when we went over to his house for a Christmas party. He's very interested in like showing off his stuff.
Yes.
The interwebs, Alec T. I just went on I was thwacking out on looking at old timey pictures for a while. And I just started downloading them and putting them into folders I plan to make videos with them. But I only made a couple of videos before I quit making them because they didn't get very many views and they were a lot of work. Look how many cars there were on that road there, going that direction with none going this way. And the thing is, in the olden days, traffic used to be more situationally determined like that. So rush hour was more pure. Everybody went to work going that way. Everyone came back to work going this way, you know. But nowadays, traffic's much more random. I mean, you still have that phenomenon where, like, if you're driving around here around 4 or 5 p.m., you ideally want to be going west, not east. Where's my coffee cup? Is this my coffee cup?
Yes.
Oh, did you not have a coffee cup?
Yes.
Oh. I gotta refill my coffee now. What I really liked about that video about the I should have but I meowed instead tests was when I put my cigarette in my mouth backwards at exactly the part where I was going to talk about target blindness, which is exactly what happened at that moment. Well, that's called Nazi boob inspection, Argent. Those people are Nazis in that picture. I didn't realize it when I got the picture at first, but if you look at them closely, they've got like Nazi symbols and shit on their shirts. So obviously, if that was one of Nazi Germany's best policies was daily boob inspections. It's important to make sure their boobs are still there. Look how fancy these ladies are, though. Those are some fancy ladies, right?
Yes. My mom was a witch for Halloween this year.
Mom was also a witch for her trip to San Diego.
Yeah. Alec T, that's funny. For weeks I've had dozens of YouTube tabs left open on my PC, mainly dozens of your videos, but I can never sit down and watch them all because there's so many. Sounds
like you need more SE, Alec. Now, this picture here of these guys all standing in the shape of a horse head is has been shared on a few occasions on various social media sites with misinformation that says that picture is a tribute that soldiers did after World War One to all of the horses that died in World War One. In actuality, it was taken before World War One, or right near the beginning of it, and it was just this guy, this photographer, who was into making pictures. That was his thing. He did. He'd get a large group of people and have them stand in the shape of something, whatever, and then he'd take a picture from far above. In this case, he had these army people do a picture of their colonels or their generals or whatever horse's head, because that general and his horse were like sort of the famous like poster boys of that particular division or whatever. But look at these ladies. They won the indoor baseball match.
Oh, cool.
These ladies, they're feeling styling because they got their car. They said to their husbands, "We're lesbians. We're going out today." These guys, they're very cool, except for the guy on the far right who didn't get no play from the ladies, hanging out with all those other three studs, you know. Jordan Valley, how are we guys doing? I'm doing well.
I'm doing well too. Thanks for asking, Jordan Valley.
Your ISTJ friend thinks you're sensory logical extrovert. Is that ESTP? Well, you know what, Arjun Wolverine, maybe someday you too can get a job as a lady bus driver.
Yeah. Or you can get typing from host Eric, and he can figure out what type you are.
If you have one of those 1960s cars, you get two chicks to ride with you, and then they get out and they look at things through their glasses.
Like, oh my gosh, we just traveled.
Let me see what for the not ashamed question, is trying to be awesome, capable, the same as high achieving? I guess the better way to say it is like this. You know, what is that fucker talking about? Me be ashamed of myself? I'm the one with the Jaguar and the fancy house and my kids in private school. He's barely getting by. Why should I be ashamed of myself? Or me be ashamed of myself? He may have the Jaguar and whatever, but he's a fucking moron. You know, that's the difference between 3 and 4. Now, 3 and 2, me be ashamed of myself. He may have the Jaguar and everything, but I'm the one who actually cares about people and does things to help them. He's just always showing off. That's 2 over 3. 3 over 2. Oh, he thinks he's so special, always helping people and stuff. But you know what? What's really helpful is taking care of your own family and handling your shit. I'm the one with the Jaguar in the house and the achievements. Well, I guess it depends what you mean by capable. Are you capable in the sense that you're not wrong? Or are you capable in the sense that you end up causing positive impacts for other people? Well, Karma's Pimp, I don't like it either, but to slightly correct you, the J would be the P in, well, the last letter for introverts in socionics is small case. Okay, so you're 2 in the 3rd slot probably, since that one gives you the most trouble. I want that. I want that thing to take me to various parts of the town.
That's a monorail, right?
I think that's something special. It's not even a monorail. That's something even better than that.
That's so cool.
It's like a slot pod or something.
Whoa, that's fun.
Slot pod. I think we should all get around with slot pods.
I think so too.
They made that car. It's called a 3-wheel motorcycle, and they're totally dorky. Except it doesn't look really like that. It doesn't have the satellite dishes on it, for one thing. 2 is the helpful one, yeah. I mean,
No.
I read.
I read magazines. That's like at most. I don't read. I listen to I used to listen to Audible, but I'm not a reader. Not really. I mean, like I started the numerology and I've taken notes. So, for certain things I am, but I wouldn't say that I'm a reader. Like some people have like reading clubs and stuff. Like I just don't see myself enjoying that.
That last picture, the one that you said looked like it was staged or whatever, with that flapper lady.
Oh yeah.
That wasn't the last one now, but that one.
With the glossy.
It's like one of the most stunning images I've ever seen. It's just so, pa, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, as far as being a reader, I've always been a huge reader, but I'm not really actively a reader now. I did read a short story today called "The Plantation" for work because my client, student Jeffrey, was reading it for school. Hi, Taylor.
Hey Taylor.
How you doing? In a state of flow? So if you're 872 or 827, you're probably 872 because you had most trouble answering the 2, 3, 4 question. If you were to look it up online, you have to. Well, this is what I always do anyway.
Yeah, I do this too.
Rachel taught me to do this. That's how come I do it this way. She's the one who told me to do it this way.
When I get obsessed with typology.
To whenever I want to get to that page from Personality Cafe with all the tri-type names, I type in 784 curve server, which then takes me to page 2 of it, and then I look for the one I'm looking for. So, what did you say you were? 782? That's going to be on the previous page, I think. Eight 872.
Yeah, 872.
872. The Freedom Lover. Caring, innovative, fun to be with, energy combined with disregard for convention.
Can we just like read mine? Because like that is such a cool like title.
But you instead get...
Like if I wanted to like use my tri-type as a tag, it would be the...
Oh wait, I think we must have said... Oh, you're a 4. You're not a 2.
Yeah, I'm not a 2.
That's why I'm looking in the wrong place. Okay. So that's on the next page, I think.
Yeah. I believe so.
So Rachel is a 974 or possibly a 947.
The gentle spirit.
Yes, but the 974, which is what we think she is the self-doubter, combines aesthetics with feelings of valuelessness, helpful, fun, but withdrawing, fears rejection from displays of negativity. It seems accurate.
I mean, it is.
It's a shitty title, but it's more accurate than the nostalgia. That would be it. Maybe ISFJ with your same tri-type would be more likely to be a 947, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah. I definitely have 7 second
Yeah. So,
I'm just.
I mean, the thing is, I think that it accurately describes you. It's just that the problem with the title is it doesn't reveal anything about the strengths of being the way you are, because there are lots of strengths of being the way you are too. You know, it's like it, it's in the same sense in the way that you out INFJ'd Corey is is has to do with the fact that you're not a 3.
Mm-hmm.
And that self doubt means you're less likely to make certain kinds of mistakes and more likely to smoothly integrate in complicated situations and stuff.
Oh my gosh, yes.
What would someone who's not shy but gets bored by socializing be typed? I mean, I don't know if that's an Enneagram thing or not, but anybody who's got FE lower than 2 is gonna identify with that, and even plenty of people who have FE in the second slot are probably gonna identify with that. Also, your relationship with socializing changes as you get older, or at least mine did. I was much more FE focused when I was in my teens and 20s. As I got in my later 20s, I sort of thought, okay, there's nothing here, nothing to be mad about. There's nothing to take away from my social successes. It's maybe momentarily gratifying, but that's it. You're a life path 11 master number. Well,
That's cool.
my number is flow state, right? It's interesting you're an 11. I'm a 22. We both got special numbers.
What do I get? A square. I'm a 4.
Peter Dentici's Enneagram test is what you might call brutal face Enneagramming.
Yippee.
144 questions orally forced.
Yeah. Oh,
There you go, sweetie.
thank you.
Yeah, I personally, I've got my opinions about Enneagram, but they're just my opinions about it. I don't feel like I don't claim to be an expert on it or anything. And I don't think you can really exactly, but that's again my opinion about it, because I think that there's a lot more room for opinionated interp. This is Wilshire Boulevard in Los Angeles. When I saw this picture, I was like, oh my god, that's fucking Wilshire Boulevard. Because now it's all huge, tall buildings next to each other.
Wow.
Numerology. I found numerology to be weirdly correct, more so than other things. Also, Rachel and I, with our biorhythm compatibility, we score off the charts. It's super good. You can put in any 2 birthdays, and you're not going to get anywhere close to how compatible our biorhythms are. Who knows about all that magical thinking shit? But it's weird the way some of it seems so prescient.
Vedic astrology likes our compatibility too. We always get excellent for Indian astrology.
Alright, next time we see that 1980s picture, flow state, I want you to tell me, we're going to speculate. Taylor, you're traveling back in time to 1984, to 1982 maybe, where those 4 chicks are. And, you're traveling back in your own demographics to be 22 years old or whatever. Which of those 4 chicks in that 1980s picture, when it comes around again, is Taylor going to try to bang in this time traveling hypothetical? Wilshire Boulevard was an oil field. Well, I mean, it's down there near the La Brea Tar Pits, which I guess originally, way long ago, briefly produced crude, but you know, the last places around LA that still produce crude are in Long Beach, and you still see some oil derricks that are just like there on the hill, you know, they're just there next to people's houses or whatever. No, you got to pick one. You got to pick one. It's 1982, remember? I really do want to know what was going on in that picture there. Like, what is that lady doing? It can't actually be a Nazi boob inspection.
I'm sort of a reader. I've been taking notes.
Yeah, and that one there is Chaldean numerology. I don't like Chaldean because they get rid of the number 9 arbitrarily, and it makes my number less fancy sounding. So.
Yeah, you're not 22 anymore. Well, you are. You are. In
Am I still?
Yeah, you are still. Because your life path is 22. It just changes your personality. Yeah. So.
We got that book there at the Metaphysical Supply Store.
Yeah.
This picture right here. This picture is just, what the hell? This picture pops so much. It's like, it just screams 1920 whatever, you know?
Yeah.
Now, this picture here, for those who just got here, this is a skeleton beauty contest. The one in the middle one for having the most beautiful skeleton. It's like, and that's what I realized, is one of the problems with modern society is we've stopped objectifying the insides of women.
Yeah, I want to know what my skeleton looks like for a contest.
There they are, Taylor. Which one? It's either Rush or Pink Shorts. They all died of radiation poisoning. That's sorry. I'm so sorry to hear that. I wonder why.
Okay, I'm gonna roll Astro Die for talking with famous people.
You are pardoned for your humor, be it bad or otherwise. That's not a bad choice, Plus State. Not a bad choice.
Do it over again.
Okay, do it over again. What did we get?
7th house, which is relationships, Leo, and Neptune.
7 is links to too many choices, or is that 8?
Seven is the sneaky card in the swords.
So it's unseen elements or something?
Yeah.
Or what? Okay.
Yes.
Unseen elements.
It's very mystical. It's the day of rest too.
And then the house, and then what else is it? Neptune?
Neptune, yep.
That's the death planet, right?
No, Pluto is.
Oh. What Neptune's the ocean planet.
Yes.
Okay, so like emotions, water, moisture, softness, dampness, dew, saline. And what's the other thing?
Leo, the lion.
Strength, which also means patience. Like these fancy ladies, they have both strength and patience.
Ooh, yeah, they do.
Took a long time to get dressed up that fancy. So, anywho, my favorite planet, I'm gonna go with Earth.
Earth gets like no respect.
Well, the thing about Earth is, it's just because it's so much nicer to live on than the other planets. I figure it's got an unfair advantage almost, you know.
Yeah.
The thing is, I wouldn't mind frozen oceans of liquid methane, but I'd need a really, really warm wetsuit. You know. And they wouldn't really be frozen oceans because it's liquid methane. You know? See what I mean by a slot pod rather than a monorail?
Yeah, that looks so fun.
Slot pod.
Like easy. Sliding around. Just like,
That's another name. That's a euphemism for a condom as well. Slot pod. Now, see, these guys, that engine is right in their line of sight. That's poor placement for... That's what you get when you try to make a car with a steam engine is part of the problem. Cars should really be run on gasoline instead of water. Water and coal. I wish my car ran on water and coal, though.
Me too.
And I wish it had a paddle wheel. And that it was a boat.
Ooh. A land boat.
Then I'd open a gambling
Cool.
operation.
That's fun.
Mm-hmm. Nothing's more fun than gambling. Everybody loves gambling.
Yeah.
I mean, like, who decides, at least with Myers-Briggs, you can answer the question, who decides it's official? Myers and Briggs did originally. That's who. How could anybody claim to be the official Enneagram? It doesn't, it's... Pluto's back at the planet again?
Yeah, it is.
Congratulations, Pluto.
Pluto's the one, you know.
Pluto's back, 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 Pluto's back. Wow, wow, wow. Unofficial. Peter didn't teach you. It's not the article that's the problem, it's the adjective. For goodness sakes. It's like shit like that. I just always want to just clip little things like that where I point out that somebody says it's silly, and then they go, no, that's why I said it's an official test, not the official test. Obviously, the article's not the fucking problem here. Okay, it's the adjective that's the problem. Official. From the office of whom exactly? It's like, from whose office does it originate to make it official? Your bathing suit's not long enough, Peter Dentici. That's why I have to measure your thigh. Taylor says he's going to hump Rush. But you know what? I think he's going to end up with both Rush and the girl standing to the left of her together. Because he's an ESTP and he does shit like that when he does his time traveling adventures. Yachting. This picture makes me realize that Rachel and I don't do enough yachting.
Yeah, we don't.
That validated the test's capability of improving ego. Assessments are definitionally not regimens or protocols or strategies to improve. They are instead assessments. Those things are exclusive of one another. Goodness gracious me. You made me use both goodness and gracious, Peter Dentici. What do you think about that? That you've really outdone yourself today. I've asked you to please not push me into both goodness and gracious. One or the other is acceptable, but both. Too many G's. And if you're not careful, you're going to push me all the way into goodness gracious, great balls of fire. You are blessed, Peter and Gigi, because these men from World War I made this tribute to you after World War I and your sacrifice. They said you looked like a horse. Like that kid crossing the street right there. He's dead now. Mm-hmm. It's weird to think about that, you know?
Yeah.
He's already dead. He lived his whole life after that picture was taken. And then now he's long dead. These ladies, they're both long dead. They were loving their car at the time. Now they're dead. They're not loving it anymore. Just loving their dirt nap. These guys, they were so excited. Even though they had a steam engine blocking their view, but now they're dead. All these people driving on this car here, on this road, they're all dead. All of them. Well, maybe not all of them. Like, some of them could be like 90 years old. But all the ones on this one, all of these people are dead. Well, you know what I have to say about your advancing ego development, Peter didn't teach you? I have this to say about it.
It is a dwarf planet, Pluto. Jeremiah fix. I'm alright.
She's not perfectly well, but
I'm feeling better.
she's definitely better on the mend. It's looking like maybe it was a darkest before the dawn kind of a thing. Boy, my butt had one of the most snappy retorts that Peter Dentici's ever gonna get bombarded in the face with, because that was on point and on point responsive. But that was. That's what Peter Dentici looked like after my fart. He looked like that car right there. And that tree is my fart. He wraps himself around my fart.
Wow.
The donkey kid, he's got to feel kind of like, I'm not sure I'm happy with that costume. Now, that's a lot of cars.
Yeah.
Where are they going?
That's my question.
We don't know. What's that lady doing? She's showing you her tongue. Why? She wants to see if she has. She wants you to diagnose her and see if she has rubella. And here's those dead ladies again. Trapped forever in that moment, looking at their car, but didn't save them. Probably all those people walking along the bridge there, all dead.
Dead.
Those three little children,
Oh, God.
they're long, old, dead. Both those people, D-E-A-D, dead.
Am I, like, gonna get in trouble for laughing at that?
No, because they're all old.
Old
There's that
and
kid
dead.
again, right? See, that little kid, he's walking across the street with such swagger, but he's long dead now. That's what why you got smug look right off your face. These people are appropriately solemn in their appearance. They know we may have just won the baseball championship, but we're going to be dead soon.
She knows she's dead.
She knows she doesn't win this boob contest, she's going to be in big trouble, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Those people, they're all dead. I mean, you know, it's 1960, right? They look to be about 28, 30 maybe. Well, now it's 60 years later. They could still technically be alive, but that guy, he would be like 75 or 80 probably, but he's dead because he was doing that shit on his unicycle, so he got run over by a car at some point. That lady who tried to combine synchronized swimming and luchador wrestling, dead. Long dead. That whole family's dead.
All we are is dust in the wind.
They never had a chance to redeem themselves over those mask choices. And this hilariously racist group of Southerners, all dead. Be they clown, witch, or Negro in their costume. What about these guys? Also, all dead. Do you think they, when they posed for these pictures, they'd imagine we'd be talking about them in year 2022? These guys, they're dead. They don't even have a car yet. That's how old times they are. They've got a car, like a train car, but it's being pulled by horses. It's like, come on, guys, get your act together. Let's get a steam engine. You know.
Mm-hmm.
I tell you who's traumatized. Peter Dentici from My Snappy Retort. These people are all dead. I like that guy's coat there on the left. These guys, definitely, long dead, all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Their mustaches didn't protect them. These cars were dead when the picture was taken. They're still dead. And all these Nazis are dead. They probably were killed in the war. This must have been like 1938 or something when they still had Nazi energy for boob competitions.
I don't think it was a competition.
These three probably dead. It's probably like 1940, and they're like 12.
They'd be like
They'd be almost 100. Yeah, these guys are definitely dead because look, the thing says electricity, convenient, adaptable, flexible, convenient, flexible, cheap. If you're advertising electricity and you're in that picture, you're dead. That guy, he was neck deep in pussy for like 10 years, but now he's dead. Now he's long dead. Same with that guy. Because he might, it depends. If, let's say he was made into a paraplegic in one of his unicycle accidents, he could still be alive. But if he wasn't, then he probably died in some stupid 70s stunt. These ladies, they might be alive. They're like 30 in 1970, so...
like the 70s.
They're like 30 years older than me, so they're like 80. Those guys are definitely dead. These ladies are probably still alive, because they're like 20 in 1982, right?
They're probably like in...
They're like 10 years older than me.
Yeah.
These are like 62-year-olds now. These ones, again, they're dead there.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta dig up the dirt to find these people. That lady's so happy there. Little does she know she's gonna die soon. Or, not soon, one of the two. But before we see her. This guy, he's dead. We don't even know what he looks like underneath the bag, but he's dead anyway.
I think that the chick who is getting measured is actually really nervous because her boobs are so big. And the Nazis want them to be smaller.
Well, possibly she's worried that she's not going to be able to do jumping jacks as effectively as the other girls.
She's worried, though, because her face shows it.
Yeah. Now, it's hard to say when this picture was taken. I suspect some of those children might still be alive.
Really?
Well, if it was taken in 50 or something and they're 10, you know.
Yeah, so
these
they'd be
people
in the
are all
70s.
dead. These are all dead.
They're dead.
They were like 30 in 1928 or something. And, of course, those guys ended up spending the rest of their lives in prison because they were mistaken for escaped convicts because of their striped suits they had on. Well, she's saying, getting bigger, good. Yeah. You can be the witness to our future generation of soldiers. Whereas these ladies
are...
are...
my face, watch... No way we want them smaller. Burger breast means how are you offering? No, we're talking about Adolf Hitler. We're not talking about the guy who created like Playboy.
Look, but the thing is, here's what Hitler thought. Hitler thought there's usage for both. What we'll do is we'll get the big boobed lady, and she'll be the wet nurse to the children of the small boobed ladies, who can then be used in factories to build bombs and stuff. You know, they were just trying to be efficient.
I think they're Nazis, and I think they're getting in trouble. He was getting worried about getting in trouble. Yeah. Yeah, but your Aryans need to. We're talking about Adolf Hitler, like actual So I think Chicky was a little nervous. Like,
The weird thing is, Adolf Hitler didn't realize it, neither did any of his contemporaries, but for all of his, like, master race shit, he was actually Chinese. Little known fact. His birth name was Adolf Chong Ching Long. He changed it to make it sound more Aryan. But that's why his eyes are so slanty.
All Nazis were right in the head. That's why.
That guy's dead.
Mm-hmm.
That lady, she's still trying to get tan. She's still trying to scrub away the albino. That lady fell off that wall shortly after the picture was taken and actually died from the injuries. That's my guess. She just looks a little too quirky to survive that. The only one who looks happy is the one on the far right. She doesn't have any baseball equipment in her hands. You heard he smelled bad and only had one ball. Well, that's because a man's good smells are sourced from a complete set of testicles. Well, I mean, yeah. It's like that They Might Be Giants song says. The fascists have the outfits, but I don't care about the outfits.
What I care about is music.
And the communists have the music. But yeah, the fascists definitely had the outfits.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you wanted to look snappy and, like militaristic regalia. Well, them's your boys right there.
Mm-hmm.
I watched an interesting video last night on YouTube about the Battle of Midway. It was a 3-part. Each of the parts was like 25 minutes long. I watched all 3 parts of it. It was quite an interesting breakdown of how the Battle of Midway played out, and it really turned the war with Japan and the Battle of the Pacific 180 degrees. It's like prior to going into Midway. Yeah, I did watch it at 2 times speed, but that's not the point. I still gave it a full half hour's worth of my attention. And I have the closed captions on. If I don't have the closed captions on, I can't necessarily watch things at 2 times speed because it depends how much particularist talk stuff people have. If they've got, unless they speak super clearly with a flat Midwestern accent, I need to have the closed captions on or I won't catch everything, The thing that we can the most lasting impacts from World War II are as follows. Nobody ever grows that little mustache anymore.
Nope, that mustache is gone.
It's gone, And pretty much nobody names their kid Adolf anymore.
I was just gonna say that.
Those are the big takeaways from World War II.
Yeah, and be nice to Jewish people. That's kind of a takeaway. And Japanese people.
Well, I think maybe the general takeaway is genocide as national policy doesn't really fly.
Yeah.
Genocide as national policy makes you bad guy.
Yeah, definitely bad guy.
If you can put the words rape of in front of a city, then you're the bad guy.
Yeah, and the Nazis definitely did that.
Well, the Nazis did, but I'm more specifically thinking about the Japanese and their treatment of Nanking.
Ooh, tell me.
Well, it's not called the rape of Nanking for nothing.
Oh, damn.
And the Chinese still hate the Japanese. When I was in Shanghai, they if you watch the actual Chinese television, they have like movies on like All Japanese Must Die is the title of the movie, and it's just they hate them. They hate the Japanese so much. The Chinese hate them. But they also have no sense of irony. I went to this one like communist museum there, in which they were bragging about how Mao Zedong had gone against the authoritarian, horrible authoritarian rules against against public assembly, or the right to free assembly, basically. How he stood up and defended the people's right to free assembly, which may have been true at that moment, but of course, just a couple of years before I got to Shanghai, which wasn't that long ago, Alcoholics Anonymous meetings were still like shady black market affairs because it was illegal in China to without a permit to gather as a group. At the same time, they have a museum celebrating Mao Zedong's rejection of that same law by the nationalist government as indicative of him being a great hero or something. Talk about the total absence of TI, right? That it just. What happens when you don't TI enough? You get wrongness disorder. That's what happens. So anyway, it's almost 10 o'clock. I'm going to try to make an early night of it tonight because I have a 9 a.m. typing session, and I'm going to be beginning with essentially Sleepy Week Part 2 tomorrow. Rachel, I wonder if you would be willing to go grab a couple more of those dinners from the freezer. I'm still hungry too.
Okay.
Or, do you want another one?
Yeah, I guess. That's probably best.
Alright, I'll just go grab some. I'll be right back. This time we'll try the chicken parmesan with rotini pasta. Okay, so go ahead, Rachel.
Thank you.
We'll have some You don't think government bodies in themselves have cognitive functions? No. But government education policies can either prioritize upholding FE values, TI values, neither or both. And education policies in China certainly negate the inclusion of TI values. In other words, objective critique, scrutiny, discursive evaluation is discouraged. And it shows in the population. It's a stupid population. When I published a video not that long ago about Taiwan and China, all the Chinese nationals have commented, all said the same stupid ass shit. You know, it's all like they never learned that it's okay to use their introverted thinking to be discursively negationary. So while the government may not have cognitive functions, policies definitely impact how society manifests along certain kinds of value lines, and those link to cognitive functions for sure. Yeah. My former assistant coach, Jim Freeman, he emailed me the other day talking about how they shut the NSDA down in China temporarily, which is the U.S. major leagues of scholastic debate, because they'd run afoul of, as debate unavoidably will, run afoul of policies that try to constrain people's discourse, you know. In order to maintain the country they've had to not allow debate to be informative of the education of their students. Unfortunately, I mean, the thing is, if you can find that video, Garrett, it's this one where I'm talking to a student of mine. She's like 14 or whatever. She's a Chinese national who'd been in America for a few years and was planning on going back to China. And the topic that we were debating was Taiwan. And she was really like humpy about it. Like, it's not anybody's business but China's, okay? And then I have this big back and forth with her explaining, no, you're wrong, and here's all the reasons why. And most importantly, you'll note that being a good citizen of America means I critique America all the time and all the various policies that it does. And so when you say, but America did this, I'm not saying China can't do it, but America can. Or I'm not saying China can't do it and America is perfect. I'm saying China can't do it because it's evil and wrong. And if America did something equivalent, then it was wrong for us to do it too. And that's not an answer to anything, right? Of course, if you're a Chinese national, your answer to every critique of Chinese policy is, well, America did something bad that's sort of equivalent at some point. And it's like, yeah, but as decent human beings, we Americans are yelling at our own government all the time, whereas all you Chinese nationals are yelling at us for critiquing you.
Number 22, life path, everybody.
What's that?
I said number 22, life path, everybody.
Yeah, that's right. Well, the thing is, what we need to do is, as a world, as a population of Americans specifically, we need to elect me president. And then I'll fix everything as best I can, or at least I'll get us on the right track. We'll change the way people talk about things and think about things. You know, what I would say to China is this. Hey, you know what? We'll totally back your acquisition of Taiwan and Hong Kong. All you need to do is win the argument. And that will change entirely how the world is talking about the matter. Just one president saying just that will change everything about how people are talking about China. And then you say to the president, now if you can't win the argument, of course, then you're just criminal scumbags, and we'll treat you as such. If you can't win the argument and persist in it anyway, then you're just criminal scumbags, and we'll treat you as such. But since you're so insistent you know what you're doing, just win the argument. Well, I mean, the thing is, this is what it. The answer to that question is it depends on how the whole thing plays out. The point is, get it framed correctly first. So then, if you do intervene, if the U.S. does intervene, it's from the right framing position. Now, China can't make any complaints that because they already had the chance to win the argument, and the conversation was set up like that in the first place. And so, it's like, hey, you know, I'm not engaged in aggressive force here. You've already conceded that you can't win the argument, and that you don't need to. You shouldn't have to. We've already determined in the framing initially that means you're criminal scumbags and we should treat you appropriately. And if you want to negate that, then let's go back and you win the argument, stop doing shit until you win it. Otherwise, you're just criminal scumbags and we're going to treat you accordingly. That's how you do it, right? And then do you intervene and treat them accordingly? Yeah, you do. You blow the fucking shit out of them. If they don't ascribe to that basic commonality of human decency. If you're going to do this shit, win the argument first that it's okay. If you can't and won't, and do it anyway, then you're just criminal scumbags and we'll treat you accordingly. And there's no further anything needs to be said, right? And so then it's like, oh, well, you shouldn't, baby. I mean, what, so we shouldn't arrest criminal scumbags? So we shouldn't punish people who are murderers and rapists? And no, you go back to 10. You know, code 10, which was the first code, okay? Said, if they want to do that, they're welcome to do it. All they need to do is win the argument first that it's okay. If you're arguing about what I'm doing after they've persisted in their bad behavior without winning that argument and with negating the idea that they should have to, then we're all on the same page, right? They're criminal scumbags and need to be treated accordingly. And if you have any problem with any of this line of reasoning, go back to 10. All they need to do is win the argument. So, and of course, then the matter becomes very cut and dry, very clear, right? Because it's framed correctly from the outset. And if it's not framed correctly from the outset because you've got somebody other than Eric as president, then everything's challenging and complicated and fucked up, right? Because people don't know what's up or what's down or how to talk or what words mean. Now you got me all riled up. You got me all riled up. You know, I mean, I agree a lot of people think, well, no, people don't think like that in America too. People ascribe to their own perspective of what America should be and affirm it relentlessly as though their make-believe enemy were a real thing. And their make-believe enemy is the other Americans who disagree with them, okay? That's very, very different than what happens in China, where everybody understands their job is to agree with what the government policy is. And when that changes, they change their position accordingly. No, we're not talking about life, sneaky dingling. We're talking about international public policy. And in that regard, it is all about winning the argument. In other words, there are certain international behaviors that are justified, some that are not justified, some that are just, some that are unjust. It is the case that the free world is well served to preserve the institutions of democracy that preserve our civilization, rather than fall into an authoritarian morass of butt-fuckery like China. So sometimes what's most important is framing the question correctly. Will that necessarily mean that the conversation thereafter is accordingly more powerful? Yeah. Does that mean everything's all about debate? No. It means when you ask that question, you hadn't framed the issue properly. We're discussing international policy, not life. Now, it doesn't matter whether I win this debate with you on this point or not, because it's not a debate, right? But it does matter to you, potentially, whether you take away from this that, oh shit, he's right. Words are super, super powerful, way more powerful than I thought. That would be a useful thing for you to take away. Are you going to take that away from it? I don't know. The point is that anytime we're talking about what we should do, when we've not talked about what kind of questions we're asking, what kind of situation it is, etc., or how the language is played out prior to the question of what we should do, then we've done inadequate framing and we're going to get it wrong no matter what we decide. Even if it's technically the same action, it'll turn out badly because it's not framed correctly. That's just how life actually works. That's why we're in this clusterfuck of a COVID disaster. Would I consider myself a master debater? No, because I don't have that much around. I mean, to be a really excellent debater, you need to. It's like any other sport kind of a thing. You have to be in game shape.
Excuse me.
You have to have round experience ongoing with you have to have ongoing round experience. You have to be regularly flowing rounds, so you're at speed, so to speak. Because a lot of debate is not about the ideas, what's correct, but about the strategy. This needs a little more time, huh?
Oh yeah.
Is yours too?
I haven't tried it yet. One most likely does. It looks fairly large.
So it's like, even, I'm an excellent coach, okay? No, I didn't say that. See, this is the thing, one of the dominant elites. This is why it's so critically important we frame it correctly. What I said was, all China needs to do to be justified in their actions is to win the argument. And that's what they need to be told explicitly by, the leader of the free world. But because you didn't want to take me at what I actually said, but turn it into something else, you wanted to phrase it like that. Of course, if we go back to 10 and say, oh, well, if China can do this legitimately, it's great. And then you go, well, but what if they don't do it legitimately? What if they act like criminal scumbags? And you go, well, I mean, then obviously you have to treat them accordingly. That doesn't mean let's start World War III. It means sometimes in life you have to make a choice. And not making a choice is choosing to make a choice, right? You can't always split babies in half, and that's why it's so important to frame things correctly. So that when you do make a choice, it's clear under what frame of reference you're doing so. It's clear where the onus belongs for everything, right? Like, the onus is not on the U.S. to justify defending the freedom and liberty of Taiwan. The onus is on China to justify imposing upon it. So it's like, it's not host Eric favors World War III. It's China is behaving like criminal scumbags and Eric's not afraid to deal with it. Eric's not afraid to take it seriously and be honest and not lie, right? Eric's like Winston Churchill. He's not a liar. He's not a ditherer or a scumbag. He's not somebody who can pretend that he's going to split all the babies in half and everything's going to be fine. He's just going to have a bunch of dead babies then. But he's too smart for that. He's like Winston Churchill. Now, Winston Churchill may have ended up in World War II. That doesn't mean Host Eric's going to end up in World War III. But it does mean that we should have learned something about authoritarian imperialists and their willingness or capacity to be influenced by diplomacy. What are we going to do What are we going to do when Putin invades Ukraine? Anybody remember the Minsk protocols? Besides me? Why are we not going to protect Ukraine when Russia invades Ukraine? Because when Ukraine gave up their nuclear weapons, they wanted to do so on the condition that they were admitted into NATO. But they got diplomacied into splitting the baby in half. So they accepted the Minsk protocols, in which the U.S. reassured them that it's not really a promise, but we will be there for you if Russia invades you. Sort of, maybe. They got that instead of being in NATO. And now what? Now they're going to be conquered by Russia and lose their autonomy and their national sovereignty. Do I think the U.S. should intervene in that circumstance? Absolutely. I mean, that's what the Minsk Protocols promises them we will do. For fuck's sake. When a nation makes promises, like, we will take over all your nuclear weapons, Ukraine, and we promise we will not let your lack of nuclear weapons make you a victim to an aggressive Russia. When we promise that shit, then we shouldn't be going back and forth about what we're going to do, right? There shouldn't be any dithering about the matter. There shouldn't be any questioning about it. Why, when the subject of Ukraine comes up right now, why isn't everybody in every news article screaming the words Minsk Protocols? Why? Why not? It's the only relevant legal document. So it's like, we've never had a president who's capable of engaging topics like this. Ever. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy that if I became president, I'd be the smartest president since Thomas Jefferson? Isn't that crazy? I'm not that smart. We need to stop electing stupid people to office. That seems pretty obvious, right? So here's what I tell China as well regarding its one China policy. Well, that's fine, China. We're all in favor of your one China policy. Just cede your PRC governance over to the nationalist government in Taiwan, and you can go back to being one China. After all, Taiwan never technically stopped being the official representative of China in the UN until Taiwan stupidly, symbolically stood up and left, and then PRC non-symbolically came in and sat down, and it's been like that ever since, without the issue ever really being resolved by anybody. Technically, the Taiwanese government, Taiwanese national government, is still the government of all China. People don't know this, and yet they have opinions about shit. You know?
Seriously.
Yeah, tell me about the Uyghurs, right? It's like, if your country policy is such that it's making Muslims look good to me, your country's policy is fucked up.
I'm gonna go on some adventure.
I love you.
I love you too.
Oh yeah, I'm running for president. I just don't know when I'm going to get around to it exactly. Well, they need to be watching this TV, the same TV you're watching right now, Argent Wolverine 90, and then they'd be correct to believe what the TV says. I mean, There's absolutely nothing wrong with just believing what the TV says, as long as the only thing you're watching is talking with famous people. Or sports, of course. I don't know if any of you guys saw that Bills-Chiefs game. Man. Wow. What a second half. That fourth quarter was insane. In the last 2 minutes, there were 28 points scored. Went back and forth and back and forth. It was super exciting. I was rooting for the Bills, but unfortunately, the Chiefs won the toss. And you just kind of figured out, shit, it's over. Because no, I've never read that. I don't need help owning the whole. I don't need a guide. Because I understand better why that person wrote that book than they understand the thing they wrote the book about. Where's the effort? Hello? It's hitting you in the eardrums right now, motherfucker. What do you think? This is easy for me? Sitting here, eating, chatting, smoking, drinking coffee? No, this is hard motherfucking work. I am sweaty. I am slaving for meager wages here in the hot sun. You are being blessed by these nuggets of truth, pounding upon your eardrums like the relentless rain on the hull of a tin ship lost at sea in the middle of a typhoon, during cyclone season, and a hurricane with an earthquake and a tsunami. I'm an ENTP. I'm sort of like the poster child of ENTPs. I'm an actual debate coach. It's my job, you know. Now I'm kind of just a YouTuber. But, yeah, I'm like, here, ridiculous caricature of an ENTP. That's me. I couldn't be more caricature of my own type. It's like I said when I was driving down to the Whipper store the other day with Rachel. I was driving through Temple City. I said, okay, listen, you Asian drivers need to stop making me racist. Well, I'm saying I'm the ENTP version of those Asian drivers, you know. I lived in Temple City a long time. Let me tell you, there's not many kind of those stereotypes that I put any weight into at all, but there's a phenomenon in Temple City where you get this Asian lady, Chinese lady. This is before COVID, right? She's got this weird welder's mask thing over her face because she's trying to keep her skin as white as possible. Got driving gloves on and this big hat. And like, here's the road I'm driving on, right? It's got no stop signs. Here's the road she's driving on. It's got a stop sign right here. And then this is what they'll do. She stops, and then she just goes because she stopped. They're not even looking. And you, of course, you don't have a stop sign, so you stop on the brakes and go, honk! And she doesn't even look at you. This is textbook fucking Temple City shit that happened to me for years when I was living in Temple City. Anyway, when we drive back down to the Whippet store down there in Temple City, I'm reminded of the horrible driving habits of these people down there. And it's like, okay, I am not one to try to impose any kind of group of shit on people. But it's like you Asian drivers down here are just directing all of your communal energy into making me racist. Because no group of common people can possibly drive that badly and me fail to note the commonality. You know, it's like, I'm not looking for those kind of things. But come the fuck on. Why are you going 15 miles an hour? I don't want to be president. I don't want to be president. I need to be president. The country needs me. It's my duty. I'm only going to do one term. There's no fucking way I'm doing 2 terms. I don't want to be president, but I am definitely the single most qualified person in the country to be president, and possibly the only person who's truly qualified to be president. I mean, that assumes one of the dominant elites, when you say it's an insane fucking grind to get to office, that assumes that I'm completely powerless with words. That nobody can ever actually be convinced of anything. That nobody actually judges anything on merit. That there's no capacity to win hearts and minds by simply being genuinely better, more passionate, more qualified, more competent, more intelligent, more articulate, absolutely, definitively more seeped in public policy study. That's the thing, is whatever happened to the policy wonks, you know? In the olden days, we used to talk about the debate cases being wonky, which meant specifically it's a little heavily tilted towards the bureaucratic the bureaucratic details of policy wonks, like, you know, how you're going to modify means testing to eliminate the negative impacts of it while still retaining some sort of standard for distributing this public resource or something, you know? So the point is this. Historically, what we've had is libertarians who are just another team, right? Where the smart people go, and except what do? The same idiotic shit everybody else does. They play team shit and or hardline or ideology. You've got to be a meta-rationalist requires a very tricky combination of honesty about sort of limiting principles and framing constrictions, plus honesty about the limitations of those, and the need to be pragmatic in certain matters, plus a good TE sense of how to actually accomplish meaningful change, which isn't necessarily through what they tell you in civics class. Like, you know, the president is going to be much more effective using the Justice Department to impact case law than he's ever going to be eliciting legislation from the legislature. Well, it's true you don't just end up in any office. That's true. And it's also true that for somebody who doesn't have a sufficient platform of notability to begin with, they have almost no chance of going anywhere on merit alone. But this is what I encounter a lot with very smart people. The smartest people, the people who are most likely to agree with me and recognize that what I'm saying is true, are also the people who are most determined to shit on the notion as unpractical, unrealistic, whatever, right? Of course, they're happy to direct their energy towards that when they could be directing their energy towards actually making it happen. But that's not the point. The point is, if I am a sufficiently well-known public figure that then I can meaningfully launch a campaign, at that point, that's where my genuine advantages over everybody else become determinant. There's no way in hell any other candidate is going to seem competent or even remotely qualified standing next to me on a stage debating public policy. Zero chance. And there's zero chance any other candidate is going to stand next to me in any public forum and get away with any bullshit without me driving home to everybody's very stark realization just how full of shit this idiot is. No, I'd say only wise people watch Talking with Famous People. Whether they're smart or not, I shouldn't have used the word smart. In other words, you've got to be more interested in wisdom than in utility to watch Talking with Famous People, because it's fundamentally much more wise and insightful than it is useful. So it's like, when you're dealing with people who care a lot about saying things that are true, but not so much about taking action to change concrete realities that might attain a desired goal or something. And you've got a bunch of people who are excellent at knowing what's correct and true, or what's worth listening to, or what has good insight. Then you're not talking about people who are good at getting shit done, inherently. But the thing is, despite being terrible at goal attainment, stick-to-itiveness and stuff, I nevertheless have, over the past 8 or so years, managed to put up 6,000 plus videos and accumulate 7,400 subscribers. It's not nearly enough subscribers or visibility to launch a political campaign for president from, but it gives you some notion of how it can be conceivable for me to successfully become president, but it requires certain preconditions to be met, And the number one precondition is very broad visibility or name recognition, Well, thanks, Argent Wolverine 90. I appreciate that. And the thing is, Walter, this is fine. I get that most of the voters aren't TI-12, and certainly most candidates aren't either, and that I'm not going to win an election by simply appealing to TI correctness. I'm not a libertarian, right? I'm not an ideologue of any sort. I'm not on any team. I am the alternative. I am the alternative to the shackles of our existing discursive enslavement. And the thing is, what really frustrates me in general, and what I end up dragging myself down into, is conversations about me. So it's like my basic claim throughout all this thing is, I need to be president. I'm the best person to be president. Blah blah. But I want everyone to just agree with that, and then we can actually argue about public policy or whatever. But instead, everybody wants to argue about, how dare you make that claim, Eric? Well, I mean, how dare I make that claim? Well, that's everything we should be talking about should convince you of that. But if we're talking about how I dare make that claim, well, then you're never going to be convinced, because the thing that should convince you is everything else we could be talking about. I mean, yeah, TI is definitely libertarian. A TI frame of reference is fundamentally negationary, okay? Which is to say, it's about being able to distinguish when something doesn't withstand logical scrutiny. Libertarianism promotes small government because larger government doesn't withstand logical scrutiny. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's bad, okay? So the point is, TI is not the end-all, be-all of truth, justice, and the American way. And if it is turned into that, then you end up with libertarians. Now, it is true you'll get some TI types who ultimately prefer to just argue within whatever frame is socially acceptable for them, and don't really care about interframe consistency or larger philosophical truths. There are plenty of TI types who are like that, so you're going to get TI people advocating some stupid shit sometimes, and certainly you can, and they'll advocate stupid shit that is not TI consistent, or that is TI consistent. Either way, it's still stupid shit because it's like they're operating at the contention level when they need to be operating at the framework level. I agree. As president, I want absolutely to balance out the cognitive functions, both in my campaign, my governance, and in my cabinet as well. I recognize that one of the main reasons why my truth that I was spitting about COVID right from the very, very beginning, and everything I said was definitely spot on the fucking money. The reason it didn't play is because I didn't have an FI-friendly alternative narrative. My alternative narrative was let it run its course. People die. But that's not going to sustain for FI people, right? It's the truth. It's the best thing to say in terms of what our policy should be. But it's not phrased right to win over F people. Hi, Bubbles. There's that handsome devil who always gets my womanly bits all aflutter. His name's Trouble. He's a stray cat with a pair of nuts the size of New Hampshire and an attitude that just makes my panties drop. I mean, it would be nice to have a connection to a billionaire or something. Okay, Peter didn't teach you. Whereas, fortunately here in America, we lock shit down and nobody died, right? Peter? So you keep wanting it both ways, right? You keep being like, we have to have COVID policies because they save lives. And if you don't, people die. But then people die either way. Because, remember, as we discussed before, when you have a net with holes this big, and the fish you're trying to catch are this big, it's not better than no net at all. It's the same. No, well, okay, if your point is Brazil makes coffee beans, and many of its people die each year, then great. That's fine. But that's all you're saying. Brazil is a country that speaks Portuguese, and many of its people die each year. Great, fine. That's all you're doing, I guess. That's the only thing you're saying. So, Brazil let it run its course, and many people died. Brazil has a city called Rio de Janeiro, and many people died. If you're just doing that, great. I don't know why you're connecting those two unrelated things next to each other like that, but that's fine. But let's not lie, right? Don't be deceptive. That's not what you're doing, and don't pretend like it is. So. I mean, the TWFP project doesn't scale. It's not a project like that. It doesn't scale. I'm not trying to be a platform in some way that can be mass produced. The only thing that scales, so to speak, is the truth. The truth always scales. But talking with famous people doesn't. Talking with famous people is just Eric making things that he thinks are maybe fun or maybe a good idea, or maybe he thinks is really cool but really isn't as cool as he thinks it is, like some of my clips videos or whatever, and seeing what sticks against the wall. And then periodically, when enough shit doesn't stick, Then I go, okay, let me give the people what they want because I feel like I'm losing them. And then I'll make a video like I made earlier tonight, which is like 7 minutes of just pure straight like NI cognitive function shit that doesn't really explain anything but makes people feel happy. And then it's this. It's me live streaming and just talking about what I feel like talking about because when I'm not talking, I might as well be dead, right? Yep, Legends Fall, you're right. Okay, well, Peter and TG, I did not project anything. I did not project any intent, ill or otherwise. I'm saying, when you say, Eric, Brazil tried your course of action and many people died. And then you say, it's just a regular and connective. What? I'm just making an and statement. I mean, come the fuck on. Are you serious? Oliver Linehan, that's hilarious. Some of you piss in the shower, some of us shower and piss. We're not all the same. I wasn't until you said that I was projecting ill intent on you. You're clearly trying to make the argument that letting it run its course results in more death. But my position is the same as one of the dominant elites. No shit, people died. It's a virus. The question isn't whether disease kills people or whether complete elimination of exposure to disease saves lives. Those simple facts are true. The question is what we ought to do accordingly given the specifics of this situation. Well, see, Jeremiah thinks that's why I buy my piss down at the farm. That way I don't need anybody's consent. I just use livestock piss. I have a whole cistern full of it on top of my house so I can shower each morning in goat pee. It makes me feel closer to my Abrahamic religion. No, I'm not projecting the notion that you're ill will. First of all, if I were projecting it, that would mean that I believe myself to be of ill will, and instead of accepting it, I'm pretending like it's you because I can't handle the truth or something. So you're using the wrong word project right off the bat. And number two, I'm not projecting ill will. I'm saying you're being disingenuous when you claim that the statement, Eric, Brazil tried your approach of let it run its course and many people died, is somehow argumentationally neutral. It's not. That's disingenuous to claim that. So I'm not projecting anything. Illness or wellness of will is not an issue here. And disingenuity is, and yes, you are being disingenuous. So there's nothing else to say about all that. For the 1,000,000,000th time, Peter Dentici, words mean things. It's like, how many times do I have to say that to the world? Words mean things. Even in the debate community, I sometimes have to say that. We had this ridiculous topic about tax subsidies for oil companies. There is no such thing, okay? The United States has zero tax subsidies, has zero subsidies of any sort for oil companies. Yes, oil companies, like every other corporation or individual, can work their finances to subject less of their total income to taxation if they meet certain conditions. That's not a fucking subsidy. Words mean things. All right, see you later, Argent. Well, yeah, what it means is basically it's calling like, say, earned income renter's credit or something a tax subsidy is just stupid. It's insane because it implies that the government is already in possession of and entitled to total amount without any deductions, and that taking advantage of the actual language of the tax code is somehow receiving a subsidy from the government. It's fucking insane. Was that what you meant by projecting ill will? What you meant is, Eric, you keep thinking I'm trying to argue. Well, I do, Peter didn't teach you. I keep thinking that when you say something, it's intended to do something argumentationally. If it's not, why even bother saying it? I mean, if it's not, then it's like my observation about the game, right? It's like, oh my God, did you guys see that game between the Bills and the Chiefs? The fourth quarter was nuts. Lead change. Well, that's great. You know, we're chatting about a sporting event, right? My words don't need to do any argumentational work. I'm just sharing with you, wow, I really enjoyed watching that, and hopefully you enjoyed watching it too, and you bond with me over it or something like that, I guess. That's the whole point of that. But when we're talking about something like public policy, that's not an appropriate place for I like flowers or other ridiculous nonsense. It's an appropriate place for words to do discursive work. Where did I put my coffee? Somebody's in a fussy mood tonight, huh? Is it Eric? Yeah, I know, Legends Fall. I know. It's fucking ridiculous. Where did I put my coffee? Oh, it's in the microwave. I thought Jeff Shaw had kind of a funny instance of double shit talk. You know how Jeff Shaw does his shit, that he leaves comments or chats or whatever just saying like actually, this NI truth, which is completely unwarranted or justified or anything, and may or may not be true, and is just designed to position himself as like the gauge of all knowing. One of the greatest things Kimberly ever said. Kimberly early in our relationship one day, she crossed her arms and stomped her feet and said to me, "Eric, you're not the gauge of all knowing." I'm like, I'm pretty sure I am. Anyway, Jeff Shaw thinks he's the gauge of all knowing. And so in this, on a video I put up recently, which is called Francis P. the Leader, it's a song that, what I call a hamburger song, which is, like, I'm technically working on the studio production of I'm So Sad, Sad for Me, Sad for Her, Unhappily, and what do you call her? I'm working on that one. But I got frustrated by, like, I wasn't happy with how the mix was coming together. Like, I wasn't happy with the sound of the bass, etc. Blah 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 blah. And so then I started fucking around with something else, and then I ended up getting stuck on that for like 12 hours, and then I ended up with this completed song called Francis Be the Leader. So Jeff Shaw left a comment that said, I didn't get it at first at all. It said, JT probably just admires the flexibility. It inspires him. He's stretching right now. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? I don't even know what you're talking about. And then I realized the other comment on the video was by Jack Torrance, aka Leaf Trimmer. And Jack had said, very good, I like this one a lot. So that was a nifty bit of double shit talk by Jeff Shaw. So instead of directly attacking my song by saying, well, what would be true about it, which is, this is just another hamburger song, Eric. This isn't a real composition that you knew what you were doing ahead of time going in. This is a track that you built, which is true, but doesn't necessarily invalidate it, right? Although I would tend to agree that, by and large, my better tracks are produced songs rather than constructed tracks. But instead of attacking it directly like that, he wanted to attack Leaf Trimmer and me concurrently, or attack me in a roundabout way by saying, here's why that wrong person thinks your song's good. It's because he's aspirational towards more expert intuition, to your excessive and worthless expert intuition seems actually appealing to him. It's like, man, Jeff Shaw, boy, you sure do put a lot of energy into trying to convince everybody else that you're fucking the gauge of all knowing. But anyway, I like the way the song came out, production values mostly wise. Like when I listen to it in the car, and this is something that I constantly have considered, and when I'm doing music stuff, is I want to be able to put one of the songs that I make and put up on the internet on a playlist with other songs that I like that aren't by me, that are like famous people's songs or whatever. And when I hear mine mixed into the mix of a bunch of hits, that it doesn't sound like more amateurish production wise by comparison, just production wise. And and regardless of whatever else one might say about the Francis P. the Leader song, it sounds great in the car. It sounds fantastic. It's like you can really bump it. The kick drum I chose in LMS is a pitched kick that's got this like boom boom thing going down there, and then the whole rest of the track, it doesn't even have any guitar in it. It's just me singing things and then messing with effects so it's all made out of vocals and drums, and that's it. So I was proud of myself for for doing as well as they did with the EQing, panning effects, mixing, mastering, and stuff like that to get it to sound so fat and present. That's what you want to. If you want to get shit to sound like professionally produced songs, there are two key vectors: fat and present. You gotta have both of them. And then another key vector, which is a little bit less key, but is space. You know, you gotta be able to hear everything in its own little space, one way or the other, in terms of like an EQ space you've carved out for it, or panning space, or a combination of the two. If you get all of that, then you start sounding like a professionally produced song. And the other thing is, in the parts where, when you're mastering that shit, like there'll always be a section of the song where you drop some stuff out until it's a little quieter in that section. You have to very carefully compress those sections so that the loudness is equivalent without, you know, it's, Well, James Carolus, I mean, I've got hundreds of songs, and maybe a list of 6 or 7 that I think are my top quality songs. Cloudy Day is maybe my very favorite song I have to play. It's not a lack of clarity regarding direction, right? It's just, obviously, if you go to the painting store and you find the very best painting or one of the very best paintings and say, yeah, see, this way, you need to make more of your paintings like this. Well, I mean, yes, better's better than worse. But I can't always, it's not a lack of clarity or directionality, it's just, like that song, Cloudy Day in Los Angeles, began as a freestyle that wasn't ever going to go anywhere. It was just a freestyle song that I made up. Except I kept singing in my head a couple parts of the chorus, or what became the chorus, and then I turned it into a real song and wrote it all the way out. Gregory in Disguise, same thing. It's an old song from a long time ago where I just had that chorus. He's Gregory in disguise, hands in his pockets. Now he's walking down the drive of Rich's eyes. He doesn't want you guys to realize that he's Gregory. I just had that. And one day when I was taking a walk around here, I was walking around with the guitar, and I decided to see if I could figure out what chords would go underneath that. And it was easy to figure out, it turned out. So I just had the vocals. And then I ended up writing the rest of the song around that. Another song, like, that you probably haven't heard, or maybe haven't heard, but which is, I think, one of my best songs for sure, is What's Wrong with the Ladies. I don't know if you've heard the studio version, the one with me and, what's her name? That girl who sang with me for a while. It was Kimberly's niece. I forget what her name was. Haley. Anyway, the one with me and Haley, that video. That song, same concept there as Gregory, which is, I had this thing in my head from a long time ago that was just a vocal melody. That went, what's the matter with them? That's all I had, okay? And I would just sing just the beginning part of it sometimes when I was driving around in the car. What's the matter with Dan? Is he terribly bad? Is he Dan? And that's really all I have, is just that. And then finally, like literally 20 years after I started singing that, I started to make a full song out of it. And I sat down and I wrote out the whole song, and it came out great. Well, if you include the video, Boba Fett, you're right. So, the video in Gregory, in terms of incorporating a video into the production, then yeah, that's probably my best, most completely produced song and video. In terms of the production quality of, but you know, the thing is, it's a good song, but it really is meant to be a duet. James Carroll. Let me just say that and the best version I have of it is the me and Haley version. Because it is written to be a duet. There's actually a live version of me and Spacey singing where Spacey's holding a chicken. That one came out pretty damn good too. But the thing is, I'm best served when I trust my instincts about shit I can't get out of my head. And then those songs turn out to be good songs. The song, Every Life Live, you know, Sexual Helpful Goods, that also started off as a part of a freestyle that was really hooky and caught my ear, and then I constructed it into a full song out of it. So, like, here's something that has been really hooky and stuck in my head lately, is this ridiculous thing I sang to the cat the other day, which was just, it goes, wonderful, wonderful kitty, having wonderful times, always cleaning yourself, making sure you got clean lines. So it's like, do I really want to write a song out of that one? I probably should, but if I were to sit down and write it, it wouldn't end up being quite that thing I just sang. I'd keep the first two chunks, na 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 na, ba na 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 na, and I'd vary it a bit from what I had sung to the cat, but it just, you can just feel the archetype of it kind of collapsing together. So, wonderful, wonderful kitty, wonderful, wonderful time. Yeah, 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 woo-hoo. You know, it's got like that kind of feel, right? You almost hear the pop song coming together. But I don't have any other part to it besides wonderful, wonderful kitty, wonderful, wonderful, having wonderful times. And you know, it's like I got this other song that I sang when it's cold out. I get in the car. It goes like this. Somebody turn on the heater, 'cause I'm feeling oh so cold. Well, that's all there is to it. But I've been singing it for years. The song International Delight started off as a song I'd sing to my coffee creamer in the morning when I got it out of the fridge. You come from a country far across the sea, where all of the people are alright. That's why all the people are always calling me the International Delight. And I put it back in the fridge. And then eventually I wrote that into a song. You know? But it was started because I had International Delight brand coffee creamer in the fridge, and I'd pour it in my coffee every morning, you know? Every night, gather around your keyboard, join the warriors there, petty insults flying, we argue them all. Late night, early morning, any time's the right time for a debate. If I'm in the mood for it. Eric's never wrong, unless I am. And if he sings a song, Buddy's always on, talking with famous people. Thank you for liking Noise in the Data Stream. I like that song too, but I still haven't figured out how to play it, really. I haven't found, like, you know how I was saying about that Kitty song, right? How you can almost hear exactly how it would play out as an archetypal kind of, like, late 60s bubble pop song or something, you know? Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, the same thing is true with, the same thing is not true with Too Much Noise in the Data Stream. I'm not quite sure what it's supposed to be. It's like, too much noise in the data stream, and enough to interrupt everybody's dreams. Temptation's mean, mistakes are made, until it seems everybody's just throwing shade. I won't be. The thing is, I can't hear how the instruments are supposed to go, or how the song collapses in together, in the same way that I can Wonderful, Wonderful Kitty. I get how it works melodically, the song, and I like how it works melodically, but I don't get what it's supposed to be yet in terms of a complete package. And it just sometimes that's just how it is. It's like songs define me for years, define my understanding for years and years. On the other hand, a song that it took me a long time to get down what the vibe of it was supposed to be, but now I totally understand is, what's the big problem? Oh, you came here with her, and what's the big problem that you can't endure? You seem so it's like you can it's an NI thing, right? It's NI. I don't know what else to say about it. It's like I was talking with Rachel the other day about that song. It's All About That Bass by Meghan Trainor. And the things that they do in that to make it, give it that 50s sound, you know. I don't think Putin's an ISTP. I think he's an ESFP. "30,000 Days" is a song that...
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It's okay. You startled me. Well, you know, James Careless, I kind of concluded the same thing. I wouldn't call it awful, but it's like I heard it barely on, like, in the background of the doctor's office one day, and I said, that song sounds familiar. What is that song? I put it on a list to listen to it. And then when I actually listened to it, I realized, oh my God, these ham-fistedly clumsy body positive image lyrics make this thing intolerable. It's not like I disagree with them, but I disagree with the horrible artistic decision to deliver the message so ham-fistedly and crudely, you know. But regardless, it was nevertheless an informative listen regarding the tricks that she or the producer used to make it, give it that 50s sound, you know. 30,000 Days is a song that's imperfect. Like, I don't think that the second part is exactly right, or it's kind of arbitrary. "Feed Upon the Young" is a very good song, but it's tiring to play. Not that matters much. It's tiring to play. Yeah, the beat's cool, the lyrics are horrible. And again, I want to stress, it's not because I don't agree with those lyrics. I definitely agree with the principle of like body image stuff, but you know, the simple truth of what South Park once declared, and it remains true, will remain true forever. Because being an activist is totally gay. Well, thanks, one of the dominant elites. It sounds like you listen to some of my music. I like Amelia as well. It's hard to play sometimes. It's one of those songs I play a little differently in different times I play it, which means I don't quite have it SI'd into me all the way. And Share a Shame, I don't play that frequently because it's tiring to play, I guess. I don't have it memorized. That's the other thing. And those two songs you mentioned there, those three, Share a Shame, Amelia, and Feed Upon the Young, and 30,000 Days. I don't have them memorized. So to play those, I have to open up my document entitled Set List Bobette List, and then I have the lyrics and the chords written down there. No, I can't play the stabbing song. I have no idea how I would go about playing that song. I'd like to know how to play Nefarious Plans, but I don't know how to play that song either. Nefarious Plans is an example of a song that started out as a hamburger song, but was so good as a track that I think of it as a real song, but I never actually wrote it, you know. Nefarious plans all about, various deeds underway, wary of every doubt that is scary, but that's about all you can say. That's a catchy chorus, man. That chorus is catchy. And 100,000 million years ago, that's another thing that I took a chunk from a long time ago and built a song around it. It was the chorus of a terrible rap song I made a long time ago. And then I made a song around it. And now it's good. There's another thing I want to do that to coming up one of the days, which is the song that it goes... And this is one probably most of you haven't ever heard. But the end part of this song, I want to turn into the chorus of something. I'll play it right now. It's called If or Not. Yeah. Okay. So, let me see if this is on the right settings here. Yeah, alright. So, when you get to the end part of this song, this is the chorusy part that I want to turn into the chorus of a song. Avoid my question. You wouldn't want to get pinned down, given that your argument is neither relevant nor sound. Your certainty has faded. You've begun making unaided error. Can you make a sound? Based on just a little loop, round and round it goes. You're guilty of some sort of intellectual treason, and I'm putting you to death. This part coming up here. Fuck yeah! Get in the box, bitch! Not this. Try to hear this part. Yellow's not gonna save you. Not this part. Ain't no salvaging this one. After this, here we go. This part. All the people with their arguments state their claims with such confidence. If or not they know things as yet to be ascertained. All the people with their arguments state their claims with such confidence. If or not they know things as yet to be ascertained. So the thing is, it's like that doesn't sound like a whole hell of a lot in that context, maybe. But if I were to write a good song around that bit, because that's the good bit of it, right? All the people with their arguments state their claims with such confidence. If or not they know things as yet to be ascertained. All the people with their like that's a good chorus, you know. It just makes you want to go Boom, boom, ba-doop, boom, ba-doop, boom, ba-doop. Thanks, James Careless. You're great. I like you a lot, buddy. You're my kind of guy. Watching you drink beer made me jealous. Normally, when I see people drink beer, I just go, oh, I'm glad I don't drink alcohol anymore. You look like a man who enjoys his beer, though. You look like a guy who gets the most that he's going to get out of it and doesn't. It's like, it is really satisfying if you could drink to sit down at the end of the day and have a couple beers and just sort of melt into the couch, I could go get some non-alcoholic beers. They're almost just as good, really. It's very satisfying drinking non-alcoholic beer. Very satisfying. If you get the good ones, like obviously O'Doul's isn't very good. Heineken Zero tastes a lot like Heineken, but my favorite is Bitburger Drive. Bitburger tastes totally like regular beer. Also, the Klausthaler hopped. It's like tastes exactly like an IPA. Well, yeah. The thing is, for me, cigarettes and marijuana are part of the deal. Like, okay, I'll quit drinking God, but I've already quit meth. Now I'm quitting alcohol. That's it. You don't take anything else away. And God agreed. We came to an arrangement. I can do all the drugs I want, but I can't drink alcohol. I mean, nefarious plans may be a little wordy in the verse, but the chorus is super hooky. And the reason it's so hooky is because of two factors. One, first of all, it's not complicated at all, like chord wise. It's just two chords. It goes from like the 1 to the 5 or 1 to the 4 or something. But the most important thing is the reason that chorus is so hooky is because the beat, like the chord beat, comes in a beat early, and then the vocal background thing, that thing comes in like a beat late. So the whole thing has this weird meld to it. But I agree that the verse is too wordy still, and that in my second attempt at making that song, I made it a little bit more arty than which wasn't my intention, but I made it a little more arty by trying to get rid of some stuff. Basically, by trying to make it have more room in it, be less wordy, I ended up making it kind of more arty with more stops and stuff. So it's an imperfect effort for sure, but also I don't like the way the cymbals sound in that. The hats and the cymbals, they're too compressed and they sound all like pixelated now at this point because I've worked on it too much. I need to start over with new start over with the drums again, I guess. Yeah, non-alcoholic beer gives me a little bit of a buzz too, in a way, but it's like it's the bloated kind of gotta pee, feeling sleepy kind of feeling that beer gives you, but without any alcohol. And of course, you don't get the warm feeling in your gut. You just get the warm feeling of being like bloaty and filled with gases released by yeasts. Can I access your yeast infection to start my sourdough collection? You know, that's how the first sourdough bread was made. A baker, his wife had a yeast infection. And he said, let me just put a little bit of that into the dough. And that's how sourdough bread came about. True story. And ciabatta bread came about by including some goo from a woman with a urinary tract infection. Different bacteria, different yeasts, different flavor. All bread originates with a little help from a woman's vagina, the source of nature's most rising agent, yeast. And in case you've forgotten, that's also why and how I've decided to, in the interest of not being repetitive and just copying Jesus, I've decided to rise the dead instead of raising them. Number one, it seems a lot easier. You just pour a bunch of yeast and leave them in a warm, dry place. And number two, it's different. It's something new. I don't want to copy Jesus. In fact, most things that you raise, I'm going to try to rise from now on. I'm going to rise flags. I'm going to rise children. Oh, any yeast is good. I just eat yeast straight out of the Fleischmann's jar. Just, that's yeasty, I say. I can feel my tongue rising. You know, when I used to have a problem with erectile dysfunction, I tried Viagra until I realized, hey, I can just pour some yeast on my dick and it'll rise as long as it's warm in here. I never had the problem since. Yet another true story from the mouth of Eric. So many true stories. Eric, I know your dad's an ESTJ, but what does you think your experience is and perceptions of ESTJ, considering the any aspect and not just your experience with perception of your dad? Well, I mean, my dad's not the only ESTJ I've ever met, and Rachel's mom's an ESTJ. When my dad and Rachel's mom sat down and started talking about timeshares, it was crazy. It was like, if I were blind and they were both pitch modulated to the same pitch, it would be impossible to tell who was who. So, ESTJs. Well, okay, put it this way. I am definitely somebody who starts with individual instances and then extrapolates out rules and then checks to make sure that they uphold as rules. So I'll always be somewhat guilty of overgeneralizing my own examples of things, but I try to be aware of that risk and mitigate it accordingly. Yeah, that makes him your supervisor, because I know that ENTJ is Rachel's supervisor. That's got to be hard. It's your uncle, though. That's better. No, I don't think they have an obsession with perfection. They have an obsession with the way they want things. But it's absolutely not perfect in any fucking way. It's like, we have this antique rocking chair in the house, right? And it had a split in the wood on the back of the chair. Like it had cracked. My dad just took a couple of stainless steel fucking, like, not even stainless steel, like matte steel fucking rectangle brackets and just screwed them in there like that. It works great now. Well, yeah, Dad, but you just ruined this antique chair. I mean, if you care at all about restoration or anything like that, you would not have done it that way. But my mom's not here anymore, so there's nobody to constrain him on FE grounds. Like our couch in there. We've got this leather couch, and We've had it for a long time. And it got a rip in the leather. My dad just got an approximately similar color duct tape and put it on this tear. That's his solution to it. And whereas in other things, he's like crazy particular about it. So it's all very particularist. It's only perfect from their perspective. I mean, the thing is, James Carolus, it is true that Rachel's ESTJ mother freaks out about it, but my dad, I mean, I think he's just, he's mostly just happy I don't drink alcohol anymore, I think. And yeah, I think he understands it as what I do instead of drinking alcohol, because, you know, when I was a drunk, and, well, nobody outside the family really knew. It was hard to hide it from family members on family vacations when they know you really well, and of course it's vacation, so you're not feeling like being particularly abstentious. So, you know, he's always been a pragmatist anyway. Like, he caught me smoking weed fairly young. And I just don't think he really knew what to think about it or what to do about it or anything. He doesn't like it when I smoke a bunch of joints because it really stinks up the, you know, it's like if you smoke a bunch of joints, then sometimes I'll come back and be like, you know, the whole neighborhood smells like marijuana. I'll be like, well, it's probably because I smoke so much of it, Dad. I do say shit like that to him. Because, you know, he's scary and kind of mean in a way, but he's also harmless and all bark, no bite, and you know, if he's not in the TI correct spot, then I will hammer him on it because no, words mean things, Dad. I tell him that too, you know. I wonder if I can be mad annoyed at all by anyone for the way they think or because of cognitive functions. Yeah, you can. You just have to be contextually deft at presenting it. So, for example, you got to take advantage of shit like this is how ENTP operates in the world. So, sometime back, I made a couple of videos one morning when I was impulsively mad at Dr. Les Carter, who talked about narcissists. And I made some overreaching claims, let's just say, in a couple of those videos, and probably more representative of my bad mood at the time than anything else. But instead of just backtracking from the shit, I use it, you see, like this. Now I have an example of how I, as an ENTP, I'm not qualified to have meaningful thoughts and comments on FI matters, like the things that Dr. Les Carter is talking about. And we can see that when I make the mistake of trying to do that, I end up with these overreaching videos like I made there. And that's why you fucking morons can't talk about politics. See? See how that works? Very tricky. Very tricky of me. That's why FI tool people can't talk about politics. You got no business even talking about it. Just get the fuck out. And that's how you do it, friends. That's how you do it. Anytime you make a mistake, you turn it into an example of how other people need to ascribe to the same rule you apply to yourself. Very tricky. Well, because it's like you should be mad at me for thinking that I'm qualified to talk about FI shit and tell everybody about it. Not because I'm a TI user, so you're mad at me because I'm a TI user, but because I'm a TI user who's not directing his attention to contextually appropriate things. So, FI people, right? It's like, well, this is what I realized when I thought about it. It's like, Les Carter's right in the sense that I agree with everything he's saying or apply everything he's saying in my own relationship with Rachel. I would never be unwilling to agree to disagree. We would never use those words, but we don't bother arguing with each other about shit we don't agree on. Right? There's no reason to. It's not a zero-sum thing, you know? So, when it struck me, okay, I get it. This guy is talking entirely about how interpersonal discourse happens between two people in a relationship. And so the things that are offending me so much, they're offending me because I'm imagining he's applying it to public discourse about policy matters. What is the takeaway here? The takeaway here is it's appropriate to get mad at somebody when they mistake the wrong field for their sports field. So it's appropriate to get mad at the baseball players for playing baseball when they're doing it in the gymnasium on the basketball court. It's not appropriate to say, I hate those baseball players because they're playing baseball. They should be playing baseball. They're baseball players. But they shouldn't be playing it on the basketball court. And we can all agree on that. See what I'm saying? And that's the answer to your question, Mac Daddy. It's an excellent question, and it's an even more excellent answer. I think this is going to be my last cigarette. Actually, I didn't even mean to light this cigarette. I meant to pull a bowl, and I accidentally smoked a cigarette. I'm going to smoke this joint. I'm going to roll a joint, smoke a joint. Then I'm going to smoke this last cigarette that I accidentally started too soon. Then I'm going to read for you all the Communist Manifesto, which, hilariously, cost $6. Can you believe the bourgeois means of production owners who are exploiting children laboring at printing presses just so they can extract $6 from students who are told to read this stupid thing by their teacher who has no sense of irony? $6 for this? Well, it doesn't even say anything of any value at all. And look how thin it is. This is a book? What is this shit? This is the full extent of Marx and Engels' economic knowledge. This is a bunch of unwarranted claims about nonsense. A bunch of wishful thoughts about the inevitability of everybody owning everything. Oh, you grabbed Sredni Vashtar. Well, you have been wallowing in a pool of delightful reading, haven't you? It's a short story, but boy, there's a lot of weight in each sentence. It's a thick, dense short story, you know. It's like the most richest dessert on the menu. You just have like one bite of it and you're just like, oh, so good and delicious, but I don't want any more. Do I know guitar theory? I don't know guitar theory. I'm not sure what that would exactly be. But as far as playing by ear, I can figure out how to play songs usually without listening to them. Just by knowing their melody, I can figure out what chords go underneath them. I know lots and lots of chords, and mostly that. Yeah, I know enough. I played a lot of cover songs, so I learned how to play from chord and lyric comping things, but just say like A, D, D minor, B, like that, without any sheet music. I did take music theory, the music theory 1, as a freshman in college, but I don't really remember much from it, except for the intervals, the songs that I was taught to use for the intervals. So when people teach intervals, they usually say, well, like a perfect fourth is "Here comes the bride," perfect fourth, But my music theory teacher in college, for the perfect fifth, he used this song that he said was from an advertisement. I've never been able to find this advertisement or hear it or anything, but apparently the advertisement song went like this: K-Lo, dog food for dogs. And K-Lo is a perfect fifth. So I remember those things a little bit from music theory class. Like, Love Story is a major sixth. That song. And a major seventh is like Maria from West Side Story, I think. A minor seventh is, I don't remember them all, but that's like basically all I remember from music theory class. I was in a boys choir during my childhood from age 8 to 13 or so, and they tried to teach us a little bit of music theory. Like, we were supposed to, in addition to being in the choir, we're supposed to also learn how to play the recorder, but most of us never did. There were only a few of the boys that really got into the recorder. We had a recorder chorus too, that had like 6 boys who'd play these like medieval sounding songs on the recorders together. It was a performing choir, it's like we performed at weddings and funerals, and we had Christmas programs and Easter programs, a lot of religion-ish stuff. I performed at a lot of churches and other, I guess, what would you call it, like ceremonial events. Ceremonial events. And of course, if, like me, you were a member of the Pasadena Boys Choir, you always talked a little bit of shit and kind of hated a little bit the Vienna Boys Choir, because they were the only boys choir anybody ever heard of. And you thought, they're not that great. Vienna Boys Choir. Fuck, I mean, I'm in the Pasadena Boys Choir. It's just as good. We're probably better than them. It's called Boys Choir Hater. Yeah, I admit it. I was a little bit of a boys choir hater. I'm not gonna lie. I felt a little defensive about the Vienna Boys Choir, and they're seizing upon all of the boys choir glory for themselves. It's like, boys aren't Mormons, okay? There can be more than one tabernacle. I think you get my analogy. I pushed hard to be castrated at 12 because I didn't want my voice to change, but my parents said no. So, I had to quit the boys' choir. Mac Daddy, Legends Fall. You guys are going to have to tell us how the ESTP hay roll goes, okay? Two ESTPs get into bed with each other. It's like, I'm going to fuck you. And the other one goes, no, I'm going to fuck you. And the first one goes, no, I'm going to fuck you. It's just like that. End of the thing. That's how I picture Mac Daddy and Legends Falls night together. Sure, they're just gonna video chat about guitar, but in my mind, they're on a farm somewhere in the East Coast, in a barn, climbing up into the hayloft. He's moving his dick across the country with the old badge on it. Oh. Mac Daddy, age is just a number when it comes to typology, okay? ESTPs, they can fuck a tree, you know? It's fine. Young tree, old tree, doesn't matter. They can fuck anything. If you see an ESTP standing in the cream cheese section of the dairy aisle, don't get too close. They're probably fucking the cream cheese. It's true. If you ever notice those cream cheese packages with the holes in them, they don't put those holes there at the company. Okay, that's ESTPs in the store. Even the chicks, they go in with strap-ons just to fuck the cream cheese. That's how much ESTPs are constantly fucking. I'm just kidding. Well, yeah, that's true. But, you know, as long as you're not fucking people, it doesn't really matter. Or animals. As long as you're just fucking objects, it's fine. You can fuck cream cheese even past the best used by date. And then, after you do, the cream cheese is going to say, I feel so used. And you say, well, I mean, it says right on you, used by man. What do you expect? And then, after you're done, of course, you can use your penis to prepare your bagel after it's toasted by spreading the leftover cream cheese on your bagel. ESTP life. Again, true for both chicks and dudes. Chicks just wear strap-ons. That's post-reality. I don't think cream cheese is pasta. Okay? That's if you're fucking a plate of spaghetti and meatballs. That's pasta reality. Post-reality. So I went to this Italian restaurant the other day. And I ordered a plate of spaghetti and meatballs. They bring it to the table. I stand up, I start fucking it. And the waiter comes over and says, hey, what are you doing? I say, I'm fucking my spaghetti. What does it look like I'm doing? And he goes, oh, okay. Well, you want any, Parmesan cheese? It's a little late for that now. I'm sure you've had that experience too. Oh, for pastries. Pastryality. I mean, everybody's all into puff pastries, but really, is there anything better to fuck than an eclair? That's the sexiest of all the pastries. It doesn't have to be chocolate. It could be a regular eclair. Either way, I'm not racist. It's also got the most woman-like of the names of the pastries. Because it's just like Claire, except an electronic version of it. Well, Mac Daddy, I'm going to tell you that's not true because I'm over 18. And it's absolutely not the case that anything goes with me. You are not going back door on me, sister. No, ma'am. Well, if you ever get really adventurous, but it can actually be dangerous, people end up in the hospital trying it, but try fucking a pineapple upside down cake. I mean, it's like fucking an astronaut's asteroid in outer space on a spacewalk from the International Space Station with zero gravity. That's what it's like. It's the upside down part that makes it so crazy. And the thing is, even though they look identical, pineapple right side up cakes are so vanilla. So prude. It's like, tongue kiss, but we're not married. Yeah, just for the prostate. Oh yeah. No, yeah. Just go ahead and pound me back there, just real hard, just bump, bump, bump. Yeah, no, not because I want it, not because I like it. It's just for my prostate health. I'm worried about my health. That's all. Yeah, tie me up. Yeah, right. Put that wig on me. Right, and fuck me in the ass with this huge black dildo. Because of my prostate. I'm worried about my health. But why do I need to tie you up and put a wig on you then? That sounds like the next TikTok rage, Oliver Linehan. The now or never challenge. Stick your dick in hydraulic acid. Start rubbing it out. And try to finish before your dick dissolves. If you do finish before your dick dissolves, well, remember it, because that's the last time. Okay, so I finished that joint. Now I'm going to smoke this cigarette. Then I am going to probably try to go to bed, because I do have a typing at 9 in the morning. And probably not super going to be feeling it, because I'm not going to be taking any amphetamine tomorrow. I took a 20 milligram this morning, the last one I had. And it was more effective than I anticipated. INFJs don't believe that we should dissolve our genitalia. INFJ knows that throughout human history, it's just been an endless repeating pattern of genitalia dissolvings. It's an archetype, not an actual event. Look, the genital dissolving phase is part of how every human's singular pattern expresses as it turns through time. In all ancient cultures, there's the figure of the genital dissolver. The father, the mother, the sage, the genital dissolver. Often pictured as a hawk or a tiger, carrying a vat of hydrochloric acid. Well, you know what, James Carolus? That is, okay? That, what you just said there, that is just good solid NI. That. BSFPs believe as follows. The first step to enlightenment is to hold in all my semen. Then, 2 days later, The first step to enlightenment is water fasting. And 2 days later. The first step to enlightenment is realizing I'm an INTJ. And 2 days later. The first step to enlightenment is to get rid of all this black and white thinking. And it just proceeds like that forever. They never get past the first step. They're always informing everybody about, no, guys, this is the first step. That's so different than this first step you were telling us 2 days ago. I didn't realize it then, but now I know. For sure. With my NI, my fourth slot NI is knowing shit. You better trust me. The best thing you can do to have the best sex of your life is to never ejaculate. Always make it go back up inside. It's called tantric. It's Eastern in some ways. It's mystical. It's going to change your life. It's going to give you so much sexual energy that you can then never actually get to expend. It's amazing. After that, I'll talk to you about how your identity, who you think you are, is really, and like nobody knows this, but to be honest, it's an illusion. I mean, you don't get it yet? I used to think like you did. I used to buy into the illusion, but now I see a truth that only a fraction of the people of the world understand. Who you are, who you think you are, the words you say, the identity you project, it's an illusion. Oh, thanks, fourth slot NI. That was really meaningful. Sorry, ESTPs. I mean, thanks, fourth slot NI, seventh slot TI. That was really meaningful. It's a little bit kind of ENFJs too, though. But I don't know. You know who's a great ENFJ who I like a lot when he's around? He makes funny comments and stuff. Is Ruben. Ruben's really got his demonstrative innie polished up nicely. And it's definitely demonstrative. There's never any speck of SI in it. It's funny, but it's snappy. That's a good ENFJ. Well, parting, as they say, is always such sweet sorrow. But before we part, we need to talk about contronyms. Contronyms are words that are their own antonyms, such as seed. You can seed a fruit, which means take all the seeds out. You can seed the ground, which means put all the seeds in. Another example of a contronym is the word cleave. You can cleave to your wife, as they say in like marriage ceremonies, which means meld together. Or you can cleave something in half or apart. So, cleave is a contronym. Interesting, huh? I just learned that word contronym the other day, just like 2 days ago. And somebody presented the example of seed. I thought of cleave myself. Yeah, okay, alright, Legends Fall. Alright. You and my daughter both are going to win this point against me one of these days. My daughter also thinks she's just as capable of being correct as I am. I keep trying to explain, no! You're not the right type. You can't be as correct as me. No. Your 4 slot NI is not good enough. You should cleave to your wife. Probably don't cleave her. If you do cleave her, don't cleave her with a cleaver. No, she's not into it, really. But she's around it enough to have a little bit of a sensor's chip on her shoulder. She is TI Tool. So she's an ESTP. Well, the point is, if you do cleave your wife with a cleaver, make sure it's one of the cleavers from Leave It to Beaver and not one of the cleavers in the kitchen, except the mom, who's always telling Ward that he's being a little hard on the beaver. Does that clarify things? Ward, don't you think you were a little hard on the beaver last night? Well, sweetie, I'd had a frustrating day, and something about you seems somehow, I don't know, irritating. I felt this weird need to put you in your place somehow. I'm glad, Jonathan Basanti, because I live to clarify with my explanations. That's why I exist. That's why Eric was born. Because people were confused in the absence of clear explanation, including Eric himself. No longer friends. Now we have the truth. And it will set us all free. Free from the bondage of misconception. No, you need to leave her to beaver or cleave her to retrieve her retriever, sir. You almost had it right. Now pull the lever to try again. Lay off the beeve. Lay off the beeve. Wally. Wally was the beaver's older brother, I believe. But the real star of that show was Eddie. Eddie was, I guess, an ENFJ maybe, but kind of a skeevy one. Oh, Mrs. Cleaver, it is so wonderful to see you. Happy Lies set us free. It sounds like you're in agreement with that lady who wrote that song that goes, tell me lies, tell me sweet little lies, baby. Tell me lies, tell me lies. I don't quite have the melody down, but something like that. You know that song? Tell me lies, tell me sweet little lies. Tell me lies. Contronym, the word left. He left. How many are left? Remain. Yeah, it's another contronym. Good point there, Drag. I'd love to tell you I love you, baby, and it's not too hard for me to lie to you about what's inside of my heart. But sadly I won't say it, darling, 'cause you know it's true. While I'm happy lying to you, can't lie to myself as well. Yeah, lying to oneself is hard for me to do. And so instead I'll simply decide to lie to you. A song that promotes lying to other people so to avoid lying to yourself. Sounds like a good country song. A topic, you know. A good topic area for a country song. I only lie to you. I only lie to you because lying to myself is too hard. Why won't you believe me? I'm not lying this time. Is a great sentence. Here's another great sentence. Did I write what? That great sentence? I don't know. I don't even remember what it was. Here's another great sentence. This one I did not write. It goes like this. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying, that's all. And that really says something. I mean, yeah, sort of, I guess. It's like, it's not so much like I made it up as I said, if there were a country song that was about that, it would sound kind of like that, you know? Righteous. In general, country songs tend to, like, if you have a country sounding kind of lyric, like, I love that bar in Reno, but Carson City was a bust. Like that's boom 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 ding ding ding. Kind of like that kind of archetype, you know. Because I love that bar in Reno, but Carson City was a bust. And we went downtown and you know, like that. You just sort of, a certain kinds of lyrics sort of suggest, oh, it's one of those kind of songs. It's kind of like a Viva Las Vegas song. Like what? There's some archetypal song I was thinking about the other day that I thought, like, wow, that song really set an archetype. Oh, I remember. It was Jack and Diane. Is there a little ditty about Jack and Diane? Two American kids growing up in the heartland. So what I was thinking about that song is, when it came out when I was a kid in the 80s, I thought at the time, oh, this is like old style music, or this is like one of those America songs, or whatever. Like it had this sort of sense, like, oh, this is from something else that's come over here to the music that I listen to join us, but it's an example of its own thing over here that must already exist. Except I realized as I was driving the car the other day, no, it didn't exist. He created that archetype with a couple of songs in the early 80s as this distinct juxtaposed thing against the existing trends that referenced a kind of Billy Joel style kind of still rock and roll to me America, but in a unique kind of, I mean, you only call it like John Cougar Mellencampy shit, right? He's his own archetype, basically. Nowadays, maybe if somebody came out and did that, it wouldn't be archetypal because it's not that moment, right? But yeah, that's it. Okay, now I really am going to go. So thank you for being here. I gotta go pull my car in, I think. Maybe I did pull it in the driveway already, actually. I'll go look and see. If I didn't pull it in yet, I gotta go pull it in. If I did pull it in already, then I don't have to pull it in again because it's already in. Okay, good night. I love you. Don't forget to eat plenty of cheese. Dream about wonderful delights. And when you do so, smile. It'll make your face stronger.